And we are live. Welcome to the Iron Lords podcast, episode number 31. And it's another glorious Sunday, and we are back at the round table on the Lord's Day. We have a lot of gaming to discuss, so we're going to get right into it. So, of course, let's introduce those usual suspects at the round table. My co-host with the co-most, my brother from another mother, and the howl of the young wolf, my man, Lord Addict. How are we doing, sir?
Alive, I guess.
Breathing.
Working and playing Destiny 2, that's all.
I feel you, man. This man's a workaholic right now. We're glad we got you. And of course, our most technical gaming lord, the solo gamer who lives for the single player selfish experience. Kind of always offline, Illuminati. It's not even semi. It's like always offline. My man. Lord Sovereign. Yep. How you doing, sir?
Doing all right, man. Doing all right. A little disappointed with last night's combat sports, but apart from that, doing good. Glad to be here.
And of course, the excess gamer.
Ooh.
/ boxing aficionado. The Lord who is a man of his convictions and demands nothing less than a premium experience.
Ooh.
Beloved Lord King, how are we doing, sir?
We're doing fantastic. I like to say a shout out to everybody that got it in their combat sports yesterday. You were able to get it from various different angles. You had it from the UFC with Rocky Laco fight versus David Branch, which I thought was going to be a fantastic fight. I really didn't like how it ended. I wanted a more definitive ending to it, but I was pleased with the action in the fight. It lived up to the billing for me, and Rocky is on his way to avenging that loss that he took. You had the Billy Joe Saunders versus Monroe fight that was on free television. It was kind of boring, lackluster, but let's get to the main event. The main event last night, fellas, you had Canelo versus Triple G. Some people are trying to say that this was fight of the year candidate coming in. This was supposed to be the fight of the century. It was supposed to upseat Mayweather versus Pacquiao. In the same sense, it lived up to Mayweather Pacquiao.
By being slightly disappointed.
Yes, I'm gonna say this, guys, and I'm not gonna spend too much time on this boxing. I give boxing for the people that's out there that want to hear this boxing talk and wants to hear UFC talk, that combat sports talk.
Thanks.
This is the greatest year in combat history. All right, I want you to understand from point A to point B. You have Rigondeaux versus Lomachenko at the end of the year, December 9th. That will be fight of the year. But last night, we must remove the corruption out of boxing. We must remove the drugs out of UFC. If we can merge the two sports and get it to the ideal utopia, it will be fantastic. We can't blame the fighters. The fighters just fight. All right. Everything else is outside of their hands. So when you watch a sport, don't be upset with what's going on outside of the sport. As long as those two combatants come in and they get it on, enjoy it. Drink, be merry, eat, be merry, be safe, enjoy it. Don't get into fights and debates over the outcomes, because these fighters do not have control over this stuff. It was very disheartening, but I'm glad that Triple G didn't lose his belts over BS. He didn't get the loss. You got a draw, and going in, you weren't the main attraction. You weren't the money man. You weren't the promoter's choice. You were this the first. Exactly, because it's Oscar's
That's
choice.
The worst thing you can say. Like, the promoter's
choice.
And listen, This is his first time fighting in Vegas, so the casinos had a vested interest in Canelo winning, because Canelo would be back to bring back money to Vegas. If this is your first time fighting in Vegas, Vegas don't know you, bro. All right. So let's get on with our gaming talk.
No doubt, no doubt. I know you had a lot to say about combat sports. That was a big one. So appreciate our resident lord / boxing aficionado giving us some things that we like. And you got to follow him for that, King. A lot of people tune in for your knowledge and your take on these things in combat sports. So that's good.
Thank you.
And of course, it is Lord Cognito here spreading that gaming realness on the ILP, not telling you what you want to hear, but what you need to hear. So we got no guest this week, but it's just the Lords like it always has been from day one. So we want to get into what the Lords are playing. So let's start with my man, Lord Addict. I know you've been going hard on that Destiny. So what? Anything else going on too with you? Or what specifically in Destiny you been doing?
That's all I've been playing is Destiny and nothing else, just Destiny.
What about, so what specific? You rocking them raids? What you doing?
Yeah, I've been helping people get through the raids.
Mm-hmm.
I ain't beat it yet myself. I should have beat it yesterday, but I helped a bunch of people get through the majority of it, so I didn't progress anywhere I was.
Shout out to you, because I was on a Tick podcast. Shout out to the Tick Network last night. I was special guest filling in for the great legendary Lord B Money. And yeah, man, they shouted you out, man. They were like, look, man, Addict really knows how to help people who, never run a raid and do stuff. And I want to shout out Lord Sinister and all the people I know, Lord King with the Bad GG and crew. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's really cool to have someone that actually knows what they're doing and to tell people who are new how to get in their spot, so to speak. You know what I mean?
Sir.
And
Sir.
It's really cool what you're doing, because a lot of people give you a lot of credit for, and I even give you credit, because I always tell you, like, besides Lord King, Lord Sinister, and yourself, like, yo, you're a really good teacher explaining mechanics in a raid. So that was good to see them. They actually shouted you out. Shout out to Lord Cal, Lord Anchorman on that. Anchorman in the chat says you're the MVP, Lord.
I'm actually playing Increasable with Anchorman at the moment.
Not focusing on the podcast. It's all good, man.
It's mad casual.
It's all good, bro. Don't even worry about it. I know you're a man of many talents. So let's get to Lord Saab. What have you been playing this week?
Believe it or not, I mean, I've been working a lot, so I haven't been able to put in a lot of time. But when I have, it's been Destiny, man. I know you guys don't see.
Wow, really?
It has been.
I gotta look at the receipts.
The thing is, I know I'm not on for. I haven't been on. I can't say like an hour at a time. So it's like I don't want to hook up with you guys and then have to leave, because that's always what I have to do. So, but I've been slowly grinding away. I'm at 263 power, so I'm getting up there. But when I have a bulk of time, like 3-4 hours, I'm gonna get on with y'all, because I need your help with strikes, and I want to start getting into this raid stuff. But that's pretty much what I've been playing, and more Mario Rabbids on the Switch.
No doubt. Now, my question for you, Lord Saab, as far as the Destiny stuff, like, what specifically you've been doing? Just like, have you finished the story yet, or where are we at with that?
No, I have not finished the story. So you can tell my blaze. I'm at 263 without finishing the story. Like,
so you've been blazing. You've been blazing other things aside the content. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, a lot of, like, I haven't done Crucible yet. That's just not really my thing, but I will at some point. A lot of just like the public events whenever they come up, doing the adventures. I mean, story wise, I'm up to IO, so I don't know how much more there is beyond that, but I'm there. But yeah, the public events, man. Like, I've gotten obsessed with the grind of like watching the numbers go up, man. Watching the numbers go up. I have a bunch of exotics now and stuff like that. So I have to say this: I get it. I get it now. I get why you guys are so head over heels over this.
Yeah, baby. You've been indoctrinated.
No. All right. Cool. Lord King, what have we been doing? What have we been playing?
Playing nothing but Destiny, like Lord Addict says, running people through raids, not progressing past where I was in the raid. Helping people out.
All the way to the Emperor, and that's all.
Yeah, I didn't do the gauntlet. I was up to the Emperor because somebody pulled me in. They was like, "Yo, I need your help. Get in here, please." And a dude that I haven't seen for I think a year and a half from Destiny 1. He just called me out of the blue, like, "Yo, I need your help." And I like that. I like the fact that he had confidence in my game and that he would pull me in, and we worked it out. But whatever, that it went left because of some other dude that was in there. I want to give a shout out to Addict, and I gotta say this because he is, and when credit is due, he is the only person I see run that dog phase.
Oh,
way
yo,
he runs it.
Yo, he run it like it's a game of Assassin's Creed.
It's out of control.
He's a beast with not being detected. Like all the stealth elements. See, that's the part Sovereign would love. Because that part is the first time we're gonna get in. I want to get to because I know this is Addict's topic, but we're gonna get into that part. That is a very unique
I got to give it to him
of that raid. We'll get that
part. But also when Destiny went down this week, I found myself like I lost a child or some shit. I was like, oh my god!
Oh, it went down.
Yeah, the maintenance on.
I was tight.
When it was maintenance time, I was just like, oh my heart, it burns. So I had to go back to Mario Rabbids. But once it was back up, I was back on. So
no doubt. I feel like it's been like I need to hear. It's been Destiny. It's been almost 100%. I've been rocking that. We tempted to raid. They got to them damn dogs, and that's where things kind of broke down.
And the sad thing is, after I mastered the dogs, I ain't been able to get you and everyone else on.
I know. Our schedule has been complete opposite, so it's been a bit crazy.
I know how to do them now, like guaranteed done.
Yeah, we're gonna get it done. Because we definitely got to get that popping and get the plan rewards going. So we got that. But surprisingly, I picked up that NBA 2K for the Switch, and I'm gonna be real with you. Like I wasn't gonna pick it up because I'm like, and I'm kind of in my GIMP version. I don't know that people been mom on it. There's really no information. Like I'm like, what is it? I'm not just gonna dive my face in there, and I don't know no information. So it was like I think it was a perfect storm because I was getting home one night and then they did a comparisons video. Somebody put up a comparison video and they had all three.
IGN.
And I'm like, it was IGN, yes. And I'm like, oh, what's this? So I looked at the video. I'm like, fully featured. I'm looking at the side by side. I'm like, yo, this bad boy is hanging out. It's holding up. I said, I got a big enough memory card. I got the 128. Let me do it. So I downloaded it. I paid that 50 or 60. I have to admit, y'all, they really did it, man. It is. I know most of you guys ain't 2K guys like that, but it's fantastic. Like, and one of the things about 2K for the hardcore 2K people, like one of the things about 2K is that my park, my player / my career, right? Building up your man, this, that, and third. Like dudes pump thousands of VCE and they practice and they play that game all the time. The fact that you could take that on the go, I was blazing. And then I was like, let me see how the 5 versus 5 go. And they had all the animation, everything smooth, no stuttering, no frame breaks, all the characters in the side, the crowd, the commentary, the cinematics. I'm like, wow.
You may have the best version of that game, right? And
why so?
For this reason only. Did you see the Reddit post and the post that's going up about the game and the corrupt files?
No, I did not. Tell me. Put me on.
All right. Shout out to Young Chris. Young Chris purchased the game. He spent $60 in VC points building up his character. The game froze on him. He went back into the game, restarted his Xbox, went back into the game. It said file corrupted. He lost all his points.
Oh no.
He called Microsoft, and it's not a Microsoft issue, it's an EA issue. So and he brought the Premier Edition, the $100 edition. So he called EA, spoke to EA. EA put him on the phone, and
What you said, like?
I said they liked it. I wouldn't be surprised if they said it was Microsoft's issue. They call Microsoft.
What they did was they try to bump him back and forth in between. Well, he got back on with Microsoft and got the money back. Now, he started checking posts on Reddit, and he sent me the link and stuff like that of other disgruntled guys on Twitter. It seems to be a corrupt file thing going on, and it's not just isolated with Xboxes on PlayStation as well.
Okay.
Not one Switch was posted.
Issue?
Not one.
Wow, interesting.
See, that's weird because I heard that a lot of the corruption, not necessarily the corruption stuff, but other kind of like quirks and kind of bugs were affecting the game across the board. And like I was on Game Facts last night, I wanted to see what people were saying about the game, and they were saying like there was just little like again buggy stuff and stuff not necessarily working. I don't know about the corrupt stuff, but so you haven't encountered any of that?
No, I mean, I've had a false bit. The only time I think I got bumped, because my thing is, at the end of the day, it's always generally with the history of 2K, it's always been those damn servers, right? No disrespect to 2K for what I do. I'm a tech. They try to hire me to get their servers going. Let's just say that off the record. And, their infrastructure is not the greatest. Now, they've improved over the years. Take Two and those guys, they've improved. It's just one of those things that 2K has always been known for that. So I'm getting like into that mindset.
It's like all their games.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm in the mindset like you got to kind of take that L on that. Let me see. But when I play, I'm like, yo, there's no online issues. I did a 3v3. I did a 5v5. And the whole game is really online because even to do to my career, all that stuff saves to the uploads to the 2K servers. Anything you do, you get VC or you earn badges or whatever you do, it all goes up there. So, from a technical standpoint, I've encountered no issue. I think maybe one drop, but I know for a fact it was a server issue. You know what I'm saying? And that wasn't doing it. That was like me walking around in that open world thing that they got going on now. So we'll see. I know it's early. The stuff is coming out, but so far so good. But like I said, if you're a fan of basketball or you're a guy who's a 2K fan, this is an arcade console perfect port of 2K on the go. It is extremely impressive, and shout out to 2K for doing that one, man. I'm loving it.
I think the biggest victory they got there is having that launch on the same day as its counterparts.
Yeah.
Yes. Especially digital.
That's the big problem that if they don't fix, there's going to be issues.
Yeah, because the physical is not. The physical is dropping like October or whatever it is going on. But
even if they do it to where like Wolfenstein and stuff, if it's digital, if you buy digital, you get it the day it came out. Like that's still better than it coming out like 2 months after the other counterparts because
yes,
that's the issue. Like you might as having third party clearly, it's nice that it's there. But it's like if you have to buy it on another platform to play it on day one, what's the point?
No, that's a valid argument. Can't deny what you're saying. So I like that they went the digital route with the same day, and me personally, I'm biased towards digital, so whatever.
It's easier as far as the logistics go.
Yeah. So, but anyway, we got a lot of good topics in the show, so we're gonna get right into it. So, Lord Sam, Nintendo had a little showing this week, man. Let's get into that. What's going on in the world of Grandpa?
Yeah, so last week we talked about how Grandpa had some momentum going into October, and they also had some challenges about in terms of stock for the system, their online infrastructure, what was going to happen with Virtual Console. They had some challenges that they needed to sort of meet or sort of overcome to be successful this October. So following week they had a September Nintendo Direct where they talked about a lot of the stuff coming out for the rest of the year and into maybe like the middle of 2018. And I have to be honest, like it's for the most part, it's really impressive. I'm a little upset that there's so much 3DS stuff because I just want them to just focus on the Switch.
Not me.
But at the same time, yeah, I know. I know you.
Got that Metroid.
What? Yeah, I know. I got rid of my 3DS a long time ago, and I was looking for one. I was like, hey, should I get one just to play Metroid?
3DS is nice, but like make a Switch port too. Like I feel like that Metroid was too good on Switch, but it's
I ain't gonna lie. So like, I agree with all that. Like, it's bothering me that we don't get that Metroid.
Sorry, not for
you.
you.
Big time bothers, and it bothers me more because I had the system.
Trying to help their brand and do it.
Nope.
Yeah. It baffles me. It baffles me. I understand they want to sell the 3DS version. Hopefully, a couple of months down the line, they'll port it.
My issue is like you're helping build a brand that's already well established and taking away from a brand that you're help building. It's like I just don't get that. But
I think the vibe is also. Go ahead. Yeah, I think the vibe is they just don't feel like they're letting it go. I mean, they must still be making money off it. I mean, maybe
They're making a ton of money off of it.
yeah, they
And
must be because they're not letting this thing go. Like when you get a Nintendo Direct, for the most part, it's 3DS, all this stuff.
baby.
Then we get into it. But go ahead.
No gamer left behind.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel them on that.
Respect, brothers.
Oh, it's coming.
Go ahead.
It's coming. Yeah. So, and I feel them on that. I mean, hey, you're not. Why give up on a fountain of money? Why are you going to do that? But at the same time, it's just like, look, just put everything on both systems. Let's do that. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, honestly, all the Switch stuff that they announced is very interesting. They finally gave Xenoblade Chronicles a release date. It's in December, and we've talked about how December can be a detriment to these games. But I think the fact that Switch is just its own thing and Xenoblade is only on that system, I think releasing in December is fine. It gives a distance from Mario. It's a true hardcore RPG. I think it's fine in December. Then you have Fire Emblem Warriors. Then our kind of almost virtual console, not virtual console, with this with the arcade ports coming. I mean, it's a start and it's kind of cool. I guess we get the original Mario Brothers in September. Mm-hmm. And they haven't announced release dates for the rest of the stuff, but they had original Punch Out, they had Balloon Fight, they had Ice Climbers.
It was all the stuff that was in the NES Mini.
Exactly. Basically, piecemeal. They're giving it to you piecemeal now.
No,
$8 a pop.
listen. What Nintendo did was they gave you all those 30 games for $69.95, but they said, "Hey, these Switch fools is out here. We can get them, son. So let's get these Switch fools for $8 a pop."
and we always said that was coming. They were going to break that down some way, shape, or form. We knew that was coming. So there's no surprise there that they're going to milk you. So let me see. Finally, we got a date for Skyrim. Skyrim, by all accounts, is looking great. And we'll get into the other Bethesda stuff in a second. Breath of the Wild, Amiibos up the wazoo. So I know,
new Amiibos.
Happy. I know somebody's happy because with Amiibos left and right coming out.
That goes with the new DLC, right?
Exactly. Premium experience to the extraordinaire.
Yes.
Let's see what else do we have. Okay. I downloaded the demo. I don't know if you guys did for the Octopath Traveler, the Square Enix RPG, the old school RPG.
Oh, there's a demo? I didn't even know that.
Yeah, there's a demo. There's a demo for it. I played a little bit of it. It definitely has that old school look and vibe. The voice acting is not the greatest, and that might turn me off. It has a lot of sort of old school, like, how dare you, oh, traitor. It's like a very over the top acting. But I mean, Square RPGs have a way of kind of subverting what you expect from them. As the story goes along, the story is usually pretty deep and pretty cool. A lot of
matter. It's always Final Fantasy. That's all it takes to get me to pick up it.
Yeah, you're right, and I think that's the thinking a lot of people have in terms of that sort of.
15 was still good, but they went away from the turn-based and made it live-based, and 15 was worthy of the Final Fantasy name, but even 15 is by far possibly one of the worst Final Fantasies besides the 13.
Yeah, it's a big departure from what people expect from Final Fantasy, and I think that's the route they're going to go with the big releases from now on. So I don't know that you come back to this turn-based old school type JRPG.
I don't think they'll ever. The Final Fantasy brand won't go back to it, but
no, doesn't matter.
Tokyo RPG, that's the people that's doing it now.
Exactly. So I think that's another big boon for Xenoblade, because Xenoblade does give you that sort of classic JRPG experience.
Yeah, look good.
And they showed more Odyssey, which is looking fantastic. They showed a whole bunch of new worlds. That game looks absolutely sick. And I heard that the download size is something like less than 6 gigs for the whole game.
Which is causing an uproar in the streets. Have you seen this?
Yes, sir.
There's certain people.
It's a Nintendo game. I mean, do people expect more?
I'm surprised you're not raging on that, because I know you're a size queen when it comes to video games.
No, games that I would expect, like when Far Cry Primal came out and that shit was like 12 gigs, and Far Cry 4 was like 36, and I'm like, what did you sell? What are you trying to sell me? Like,
I see your point.
don't someone that, you know, they're like, oh, they're just better at compressing files now. So you mean to tell me they did such a great job compressing Primal, but they didn't do it with the game that came out last year?
Issue with Primal was just in comparison to previous Far Cry games.
Yeah, and you know, like, people said it was an average game. It wasn't anything special. It was fun, but and you know, I still have it. You know, John picked it up. I have it for you know, since I share digital library with him, and I still have not got past the menu screen.
Oh damn! Sound like Lord King and
No, I got the same issue that he has with that game.
Oh, okay.
And it's like, it's a Mario game. I mean, Rabbids. I don't know if people know this, but Rabbids is 2.5 gigs.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
But see, what people don't understand is, okay, Nintendo's worlds aren't that big; they're dense. And the fact that
that's a good point.
Right, they're dense. It's a lot of gameplay in a small space for Nintendo stuff.
And you got to consider that a lot of these games don't have like CGI cutscenes, like in-depth CGI cutscenes.
You're right.
No voice acting, no real voice acting, not a lot to speak.
No cinematics, none of that. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
And even then, like, just Nintendo's products are always tight.
Yeah.
Right down to how they compress the file. So yeah, could the game be bigger? I'm sure they compress the hell out of it to get it onto that cartridge.
I'm gonna tell you this: if Bethesda would have made that game, it would have been 122 gigs.
Absolutely.
They're lazy at compression.
On 3 cartridges, they would have.
DLC.
But shout out to Bethesda for coming through and really supporting this Switch. I know you're about to get to that.
I'm very happy. You know, we'll get to that here in a second. But you know, when it comes down to it, it's like, look, like, they don't do CGI cutscenes. What a lot of people don't realize is whatever languages that CGI or that game supports, they had to have a counterpart for every language, for every on your disc. There could be 7 different cutscenes from 7 different languages.
Yeah, we're gonna get into that too.
But then we'll get to that too as well.
We'll get into that. Yeah, that's a great one, Lord Addict. Okay, Lord.
Yeah. So before I get into my favorite part of the whole thing, I will say also, well, a lot of indies that are coming out to the Switch considerably better on the Switch. Yeah, it needs to come to this system. Absolutely, it does. Yeah, but a lot of indies, Wonder Boy, another, what the heck was the other game? Death Squared and one other game indicated that they sold considerably. Was it Oceanhorn? Yes, Oceanhorn, the Zelda-like game. That they sold more on Switch than all other platforms combined. And this is something that we talked about from the jump to Switch.
Oh, back that up. Back that up again. Say that again. Say that for the
Is this a bend the knee segment? Is this a bend the knee moment?
I just want to know about the information.
I won't even touch that.
Oh, so the two of them, this is something that I've saw, and I know Lord Cognito agrees with me. It's like this is the de facto platform for these types of games. If you give me an indie game, no matter how beautiful it is on the Xbox or the PlayStation 4, it's gonna fall to the wayside. I'm not gonna play it.
This is
true. You give it to me on the Switch, I'm gonna play. It's gonna get front billing on the Switch.
Facts. That's
because they don't have anything.
That's right.
Here we go. Hyperbolic statement.
You know why it's gonna get front billing? Because you can't play Destiny 2 on your Switch.
Can't play Shadow of War. Can't do
anything over there.
You know that next segment gonna be lit with these two. Oh my god.
Oh my god.
No games. Talk about the shovelware that they're getting.
Let's pass the hyperbole.
You're more open to picking up shovelware because you got shit to play.
Oh my god! Don't let them hate. Don't let them hate on something.
Yeah. Oh my god. Okay, so now we get into my favorite part. Was the fact that Bethesda's coming through and showing that those third parties, slowly but surely, they're coming to the system. Look, I tell you this. Doom is coming to you ever have Skyrim coming already?
That surprised me. Doom surprised me.
You know why?
I'm going to be honest. Doom is coming this year.
You know why Doom didn't surprise me? Doom has been on every Nintendo system.
It's not that. It's not that. It's just
it's a totally different Doom.
Out the games like that in a while.
Thank you. That's what Lord Alex said. The point that I was surprised. I was surprised because we know how Grandpa is with the family friendly.
I mean, we're not talking about. This is probably one of the worst games you could get that's so far away from family friendly than maybe something like GTA.
Every Doom has been on Nintendo platforms. They have all been away from.
But Wolfenstein and killing the Nazis.
Well, yeah, you know what? That surprised me. I didn't see that.
And apparently this is the new version. This is
the one. This is the one that's coming out.
It's like I said, it's cool that it's coming out. I'm glad that they're getting it, but the fact that it's coming out like maybe anywhere from 2 to 5 months later, it's just like it took away for the ecstatic thing. If it came out the same day, I would say it's a huge thing.
But like I said, look, King needs to bend the knee to God Howard today.
God. You tell him, Anchor. You tell him.
Yeah, you see what I said, right?
Continue, Lord.
And
I'm siding with the Bethesda fanboy.
Listen, Anchor, I'm gonna tell you exactly why I won't and how this deal with Bethesda is crap.
So, I don't see how more games is crap, but we'll get into it.
I'm gonna show you.
I'll tell you this: the fact that Doom is coming, Doom, I really don't care how it looks. I wanted to run at 60. If they can get it to run at 60, because that game at 60 is phenomenal, and it runs at 60.
It ain't running at 60.
All right, we'll see.
This 320p running at 60. Oh, I'm so happy.
320p. Got savage.
It'll be a 480p.
But you guys act like the Switch is a 3DS, though. This is the thing. You guys act like the Switch is a 3DS.
Yeah, but Metroid is at 60, though.
If Doom, if Doom is not at least 720p, going like I don't really care about the frames per second, but if I'm sorry, but going down to like 540p to make it 60 frames, that's problems. It is like we shouldn't be going like downgrading for the 360 resolution. Like that is not acceptable.
Why would you? The Switch is more powerful than the 360. Why would
60.
you?
That's what I'm saying. Like y'all acting like it's not more powerful.
You guys keep acting
like it's so removed.
We'll see.
like they acted like we playing a mobile game.
Yeah,
like we got a phone system.
I got to see it. I got to. Like what? I have to see it.
Okay.
And then when it comes to the Wolfenstein, I get I get Addict's point about it not coming out day and date. Yeah. But to me, the thing about it is, and we talked about it last week, I think in an ideal situation,
continue.
An ideal situation for all parties involved, Nintendo, PlayStation, and Xbox, will be some sort of cross-save feature, which wouldn't cannibalize the sales of the game. No, but
you did not.
But why would you not go there? I mean, it makes sense.
This guy is living what you did last night.
But this is the thing I'm talking about. You guys want to create the most negative scenario possible. Why would you do that?
No, because I'm telling you, they're not doing that.
But let me say this. Let me say this.
Doom 64.
You guys.
Facts. Continue.
We talked about this before. It's apples and oranges. Yeah, I have Wolfenstein pre-ordered on my Xbox, and I'm not playing it until it comes out on the X. Like, you understand? Like, this is an additional game. Like, if they give me the exact same game running and looking well on a portable system, I'm probably not gonna pay $60 for it, but I'd be willing to pick it up again.
I paid that 60 for 2K.
And I would say that, and that's what I'm saying. That cross save thing would add even more value to both the console game and the Switch game. I'm not saying they're gonna do that. I'm just saying that's an ideal situation.
At the end of the day, the thing that's important here is people support these titles regardless if they come out.
Exactly. And that's why I think the day and date thing isn't so important, because I don't think the Switch version is somebody's primary purchase. I don't think that is. It would be a secondary purchase.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't think it's ever going to be the primary purchase across the board.
you can't release that 3 or 4 months later, which, you know, they said 2000. I think they said early 2018, right? So Wolfenstein, and you know, when people's already got that out of their systems on the Xbox One and PS4, and then complain when, you know, it doesn't meet their expectations.
You know, listen, this is how Nintendo operates, right? They operate in a room, like, let's say you go into a room and it's full of people, right?
It's a vacuum.
Yeah, and it's 2 people in that room that only have Switch, but everybody has everything else, and they done played these games months ahead of time, and they done got it. But they're talking to those 2 people that don't have access to other systems, and they don't care if the game didn't come out the same date as these guys, because they're talking to those 2 people that only have access to this game. So yeah, it's millions. Listen, it's millions of PlayStation and Xbox owners, and there's a couple of million of Switch owners. So when you say you launch Wolfenstein across the boards on these other guys, and these guys have to wait 2 months later, Nintendo's not concerned with what's going on outside of that bubble. They're concerned with what's going on inside of that bubble.
I agree with that, actually.
I think it's even better for the game that happens, because then you don't have that game-to-game comparison. You don't have that one-to-one comparison. Same out.
They wait. They'll compare the Switch. They will still compare.
Yeah, they'll always compare. But it's like, it's one of those things, like you said. It's like, think about a game like Skyrim. You know what I'm saying? Like, how many iterations of Skyrim, you know what I'm saying, have we had? You know what I'm saying? It's still selling. Like, it's still, you know what I'm saying? And I mean, we're going to get into it in the next topic, but, you know, Rockstar and Grand Theft, you know, we'll get into that. Like, look at games like that. They, you know, it's just, no matter when they come out or when version, it's still selling. But I understand your guys' point as far as day and date across the board.
Nintendo might not care about, you know, 2 people out of a couple hundred, but Bethesda damn sure cares. And
but we also act and addict like those games are not going to sell. Like, we're acting like these third-party games are not selling.
The story is this. These are proving grounds to test, to see. These are games that's been out already. They just want to see, how do they sell to this market? If it sells well in this market, then those other big games will be date and date.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Yeah, absolutely. And shout out to Bethesda, shout out to God Howard, like Anchor said, for putting in that faith, for dipping their toe all the way in, not doing the EA and saying, oh, we'll wait and see what it'll do and whatever. They see the movement, and that's a good look, man. Bethesda on board is a good look.
Anchor doesn't care what Bethesda does. They could be on your cell phone. He's gonna be repping the iPhone X. It's Doom on the iPhone X. Listen, put your flag away. Nobody's bending the knee to God Howard. That's your dude. You do that over there. I don't care about him or what he's talking about. He's not my Lord and Savior. That's Phil. I'm good.
Him say on
echo in a bit. Yeah, echo in a bit. Anchor. I mean, Addict. Go ahead. No.
Yeah, it's horrible.
Yeah, you might have to go to that hardcore Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
All right, we'll get him back.
He sound like Bane in the closet. Batman.
Get let's finish it off the
yeah, man. So to me, yeah, that to me is the coolest part about it. It means that the door is open. Obviously, with the LA Noire also coming out, it's coming out to all.
It's about that game.
Oh my God!
Yo,
I never played that game.
I got it. It's a nice game. I got it. When they announced it, yeah. When they announced that it was coming out for Xbox One X and the PlayStation Pro, I said, so what? Is it $9? Because that's what the game is worth. Stop giving me this old crap at high prices.
Oh, Lord Anchor said you are now banned from all Bethesda events.
So what? I didn't make it in the last one. If they want my patronage, they have to cater to me. To hell with Bethesda.
Oh my God!
But they are catering to you. You're gonna have your hot 4K 60 frames per second version of Wolfenstein on November 7th. You're gonna have that.
Yeah.
I'm not buying that. I told you that twice.
Oh, you bugging.
No, the reason why I'm not buying it is other games that are coming out, brother. I can wait for that price to drop. They are not number one on the list. Yeah.
So what is catering to you? What does catering to you mean?
Oh no, he's talking about the
Bethesda.
show Bethesda. Give me tickets.
I'm done.
Give me tickets.
Lord King can be bought.
Yes, I could be. Yes. 10 silver would do.
Lord King's Bethesda Patreon is going to be linked.
That's right.
Listen,
Bethesda, send the money through the Tick Patreon, and I will bend the knee to Howard. What
about premium experiences?
Being that you didn't send the cash through, no knees will be bent here, bruh.
Let's get on Addict. Let's see if he's got his mic together. Addict, you back? Yeah, you still bad, bro.
He said King is a fraud about premium experience. Listen here, you better mind your words because you will not get through this raid without me.
Time out with me too.
There you go. You're back. There you go. Okay. So you had something to say, Addict? You want to finish? I know we had cut you. You was cutting out.
Exactly. What was the last thing I was saying?
I don't remember. Something about Nintendo. We talking about, I guess, maybe timing of software, something like that, launches. Something.
It's a reverb in the background that's kicking in from your side. Like you can hear it before you like talk. It's weird.
Yeah, it's like it reverbs and then it kicks in normal after 5 seconds, something like that. But you know, we'll deal with it. We got the Lord remotely, so we'll deal with it. But if that's that, I mean, if there's anything else you want to get into on the direct, or should we move forward?
No, we'll move forward. To me, that was the coolest part about that, and just the fact that again, hopefully, if these games start coming out, if they can fill in the empty spots between Mario and Xenoblade with some smaller games.
It's nothing but empty spots.
Oh my lord! Oh my god!
Like listen. If it was a New York City street, it's potholes all over the place.
It's still selling.
We will get into that, and we'll start off now with the next topic because we got the direct out. A lot of good showing from the director. That was good stuff. So, and like I said, I just felt like for me before I finish up, I felt like it was a huge I agree with Lord Ad. Like, not everything in that direct was for me. I'm gonna be honest, right?
Yeah.
But they had such a variety. Look, you're so savage right now. everything in that direct was not for me. But one thing I liked is the huge variety of titles. It almost reminded me. I'm not gonna say, title for title like the Xbox show, because I'm gonna be honest. Like, I know I was not a huge fan of Xbox's showing. Right? I wasn't the hugest fan. And now that I take a step back, you get the emotion out of it, you look at it. See, for me personally, it wasn't. But for the masses, I can see how there was a little something for everybody, right? There was the Dragon Ball Z fighter for this, you know what I'm saying, this group and that group and the Ori group and, blah, 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 and the Forza guys or whatever. With the Switch, I felt the same way. Not everything there was for me, but there was at least 3 or 4 that was for me. And then we got release dates for a couple of big titles that I wanted to know about. And to me, the biggest thing that was announced I don't know if you touched on, is that Mario bundle.
Oh yeah,
I didn't think $379, $379.95.
Hey, I just want to come out openly right now and say I called it. Everyone else said they ain't doing a bundle. I said they are doing a bundle. You are done.
Lord Addict, I bend the knee on that. You did say that. You were the first.
The knee is bent on that.
The knee is bent on that because you were the first to say that. I didn't think they would do it. I said, why would they do it? That title's going to sell. And for them to do that, it's going to lead me into my next topic, which is our favorite time of the month, the NPDs.
How did Ark do?
Oh, no.
I want to know how Ark did.
Busy in the chat. Hold up. Incoming.
How did that Ark do, though?
Oh my lord! I did not see Ark on the software list.
You didn't see it on the list because it didn't part. It didn't chart. It went straight certified styrofoam. I told you the game is garbage. It's old.
Good.
It didn't even make the list. Where's the numbers for that arc though?
3, 2, 1.
Yeah, I know, right? Here it goes. Lord Jonathan, Lord Dizzy the chat. I know he reps
Well,
that arc.
Dizzy, you better get out there and buy 50,000 more copies because it's over.
Oh man, shout out to Cheap Tommy tonight. We guys having that the Nintendo AVP. The app has been updated. Oh my lord, I forgot about that. Shout out. Yes, the Grandpa Nintendo is now
the app,
multitasking that every app in the world is using.
Yeah,
so that is
I wasn't even gonna bring that up. That should have been.
We wasn't even gonna bring it up because we thought it was something that should be of this generation, but we will move forward. So, like I said, the Nintendo Switch has announced to be the #1 console in August, which means that now for the past 4 out of the past 6 months, Nintendo has outsold the PS4 and Xbox One in sales. What I found interesting though was besides that the software lineup, because I'm like, okay, let's look at what's the top 10 games, right? Like what's pushing the hardware out here, what's going on. So I looked at August top 10 games, and it's Madden NFL 18. Right, #1. Well, we supposed to see that. You know what I'm saying? Xbox also, you know what I'm saying, has EA in pocket with that, and we know what's going on with that. Grand Theft Auto. How impressive is that?
I know,
How
right?
Impressive.
How impressive is Grand Theft Auto still charting and Art can't make the list?
I'm done. Your arcade is legendary.
Yeah, baby. You better bend that knee, Dizzy. I want the knees. Get on the knees. Because you told me that it was going to chart. It didn't chart. It didn't chart.
Matter of fact, let me look at the Xbox list. Let me just end Dizzy's fan. No, it's not there.
It's not. It's no place. There's no place. It's not even in the stores.
Beyond control. So anyway, I felt the top 5. You had, Uncharted. You had Splatoon again. You had Zelda at 5.
Someone said
Splatoon. He said Splatoon. Yeah. But yo, listen. You said old games, and this art just came out, man. What's up with this art though?
You gotta let off, man. You gotta let him. You got the boot on his head hard, man. You gotta let my boy go. We're gonna get Dizzy back on the show to defend his honor.
He's not gonna defend that. He can't defend that. He needs to stop. We're
gonna get you back on, man. So we got, Rainbow Six, Mario Kart, Call of Duty, Modern Warfare, Crash, and Overwatch. So I just thought it was interesting because I'm sitting here and I'm like, okay, from a Nintendo standpoint, because obviously, Sav and I rep that Switch gang, and we coming into that big showdown in November with you guys, the Bend the Knee segment with hip hop and BG and everybody that has got actually contributed to it.
You mean the segment where you guys gonna bend the knee?
Oh, I like that. So yeah. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, so then how did they do it, right? Because I'm like, Splatoon was 4, Zelda's 5, which is still impressive to be in the top 10. And I'm like, Madden is #1 and it's not on their console. Grand Theft Auto is #2 and it's not on their console. And I just wanted to bring this to like, how do you guys feel about that? That they don't have the big AAA release that's on their platform, yet are still winning NPD. The floor is anyone who wants to grab it.
I can tell you.
Mm-hmm.
All right. The way that they win is their base purchases all their games. So if you're a Nintendo owner and Zelda comes out, 98% of all Nintendo system owners is going to purchase that game. Now, if you're a PlayStation owner, you have a diverse viewing angle of things. Certain games come out, you don't even know those games came out.
Yeah,
some people may, right?
Chances are, if you buy an Xbox, you want to play a diverse of games, and if you buy a Nintendo product, you want to play a certain set of games.
Their game.
Okay, but how is it beating Madden? Madden's #1. Madden. Here's the thing: Madden was bundled with the Xbox One. They have a bundle. How is the Switch beating that? That's the thing that's curious to me.
Because how many people purchase Madden? You see, you got to look at it that way, opposed to the isolation of the Nintendo. People think that the isolation is a bad thing. It's not for Nintendo in Nintendo's aspect, because you purchase them is a very specific reason that you purchase this system. what they drop, like when you purchase a Nintendo 3DS, that Metroid, I'm guaranteeing you Metroid is going to chart next month. It's going to chart so hard next month that it probably win MPDs next month because people are holding out for these games. Madden, I didn't get Madden. Did you buy Madden?
Right. I picked up Madden only for the EA access in the story because Hip Hop. Remember, he came on. He was
right
about it. So sorry, let me give it a shot.
Did you pick up the whole thing of Madden, or are you just on the trial?
No, I picked up the whole thing, and then I was supposed to start a league with the Multiverse. Shout out to the Multiverse guys. We have a league going, you know. So I did. I said, let me get it.
But okay, so one person out of this podcast purchased it, but everybody in this podcast purchased Zelda.
Right.
You see?
How does that explain Madden being number one in the world for NPD? I mean, not the world, but in US. For
I mean, we're not talking about a big titled game. We're talking about Madden, a yearly release game.
Bro, Madden is huge. Madden is huge. We cannot minimize
King
the
David,
effect of Madden.
Does people not skip out on Madden yearly and get the one after that? True or false?
All right, here we go again. We have to stop talking about things in our local circle.
Yeah, and
versus the world. The numbers are showing the world is
okay. What about the numbers? Is it not a true statistic that people? Never mind. I'm not going to even get into this argument.
Let's go because we got some knees to be bent. No, you go.
There ain't gonna be no knees to bend. When December comes around, they'll be over. So you know.
Oh, I love it. The tension is rising, Lord Sullivan. I love it. This is so fun, man. I love this busy segment. But I feel you say, listen, you know, I'll let Lord Sullivan get in. You know, I just thought it was interesting. I don't know how. I'll be honest. I'm kind of baffled. I was actually surprised by that. I didn't think they had a chance. And honestly, you know what else is the other month too? September. Obviously, we know Destiny, right? So that's huge. Now, I would expect PlayStation to win, right? Right now, let's because we all agree September. How the Lord feel like with the Destiny
number one.
Number one is going to solve it. We're going to guess that, right? And we gotta guess that Destiny.
See, here's the thing, though. Okay, here's the thing. The Destiny bundle is only the Pro bundle. Do you think that's going to affect it?
Oh, really? They didn't have a base.
To my knowledge, they do not have a base. It's just a Pro bundle.
That's a good point. That's a good point. Get into first. Let's get Saul's feeling on the Madden thing. Then we'll do at the end of the segment. What do we feel about whatever the who's going to win next month based on Destiny stuff? But Saul, I want to get you. What do you feel? What do you feel about
Madden being in the front? Doesn't surprise me. It's just every year. Like again, I'm in that circle where I haven't bought the show for a couple of years, and I'm sure there are plenty of people that feel that way. But as a whole, across the world, those games are always going to sell, and this is Madden's month. You know, it like Call of Duty belongs to the November belongs to Call of Duty. Like it just happens. In terms of the Switch winning, to me, either
NPDs
the shortages that they have,
or retail Anchorman, calm yourself.
Yeah, what is he talking about? PUBG. The way he at with that. Is there a release date? But continue, so.
I just think the Switch people, like we've said before, when big games are going to come out, you're going to start seeing stock in the stores. Everybody who bought a Switch at hardcore, who wanted a Switch early on, has it already. Now it's the people that were waiting on it. Took a wait and see attitude. People starting to shop for Christmas already for their kids and their families, picking up Switches, stuff like that. So that's why you're going to see that systems selling, and again, winning NPD. That's the only reason it's winning NPD without a big game attached to it. And it's going to keep. I don't know if it's genius on their part holding back consoles, because that's what they're doing. They're holding back consoles until a game is about to release, and they're holding back consoles so they could bundle stuff up. And then, when the buying surges come, the consoles will be there to be purchased. So that's all it is, honestly. It'd be interesting if they win MPD next month, hardware wise. That's going to say a lot, because again, like we were saying, like those hardware bundles for Destiny, I don't see anybody beating Destiny on the software front, but the hardware should also be pushed because of Destiny.
2K should beat Destiny.
Well, 2K, yeah,
you're right, King. 2K's a beast.
Yeah,
we tend to ignore it. And I remember looking at, shout out to Lord Anchor on this, and Lord, looking at them MPDs, and 2K is probably the only title that's consistent throughout the entire year.
Yep.
Yeah,
Like it just never falls out of the top 3 to 4, like until the new one comes out.
Yep.
You know
that, and this neighborhood thing is going to push it so far. That has been probably as for sports one of the biggest new things. I mean, I know Madden is doing that, that story thing, the long shot, and it was good. I like it. It was nice. It was very good. It gave me an outlook. I said, well, I'll probably pick it up when the price drops. But this 2K neighborhood thing is so RPG-ish that us guys who play RPGs, if you go to your friend's house and you touch, you might be intrigued enough to play basketball this year and just play in the neighborhood and don't even play the other aspect of the game. So they opened it up to a whole broad section of people that weren't going to pick it up before.
You know what it is, Lord King? And now that I got it for the Switch, what makes it amazing is that they're simulating the days of like me, you, shout out to Lord Oz, you know what I'm saying, Lord King, Lord Black Magic, when we used to go to the 5, you know what I'm saying? And we used to play at Brotherhood and 61st, and you got your crew of your personalized ballers, and you bring, and it's you and your people, you know what I mean? So it's like this open world quest game of you really building up your man and your skill set, and everything you do gets rewarded. And it's like, it's really well done. It really makes you feel like you this up and coming baller simulation quest game.
Yeah.
It's really well done. But back to you were saying, Losa.
Yeah, and again, and you guys, Lord K's gonna laugh, but those Switch sales are gonna help that NPD number. So you mentioned that 2K is a beast, is gonna be even more of a beast because you're gonna have however many thousand sales on the Switch. It's gonna help.
No, this is true. This is true. I'm not laughing at the Switch. Listen, I get it. Every last one of my children, well, there's 3 of them, will have a Switch for Christmas. That's already done. That's a done deal. So, and then I saw the bundle. I was like, well, they could all have Mario, so I'm get them all, a Switch with Mario. That bundle sounds great for me. And shout out to Lord Addict. He called it a long time ago. I didn't think that was going to happen.
And I tell you this, with that bundle, I can see certain retailers bundling in another game from early on in the year.
Zelda.
Just whatever. It doesn't have to be Zelda. It could be something small. It could be Bomberman or something like that, or Puyo Tetris or whatever. But I can see them. I can see them adding. Yeah, I can see them adding another game to that bundle.
And the crazy thing I heard is great too.
It is. It's a great party game.
So what do the Lords think? First of all, did I get Addict on this? You good, Addict, on this?
Yeah.
So my question, so what are the Lords? So we're going to do our little prediction for September. Obviously, we said, we know what we think it's got to be between Destiny and 2K, right? For September, right? So what do we think on that console front? Does Nintendo keep it up with the Switch? Does the PS4 Pro bundle push it enough with Sony? I'm seeing like NBA players and people on my timeline talking about, yo, get your Destiny squad together. Like, I'm seeing craziness on social media.
I see Nintendo winning this month.
Me too. When it comes to hardware, I think Nintendo wins.
It doesn't matter what kind of software you put on consoles. I already have 30 million plus of a following. When the new product is still growing.
Right.
So then I'm going to flip this back to the 2 Lords who are in these segments. So what makes you guys so confident? Is it the fact that the Xbox One X, the hardcore, the new guys for November? What do you guys feel is the de facto point that's going to give you guys the bend in these segment to get Nintendo to lose that month in November? Because the only thing concerned, I'll be honest with you, is the games.
Black Friday bundles, and the Xbox One X. That's the only new hardware.
When it comes down to it, people, games are awesome. Games keep people on consoles, but hardware, when people talk about hardware, it don't even have to have shit attached to it, and people will get excited. I mean, look at that. Apple announced $1,000 product that people are flipping out because it's that product.
Yeah.
I mean,
shout out to Lord Megatron. Sorry, these are the chat. He said, talk about how distasteful the PS4 card bundle looks. He's a sad, but continue. It's kind of ugly. But so you were saying like hardware, because you're saying that excitement for the X and new hardware. That's what you're going with.
Yeah, I mean, when you go down to it, it's like, look, I can see them getting anywhere from, 500,000 to 1 million extra sales just off the X, and that's me underballing it. And if they get higher than that, we're not even talking about the S.
Yeah.
If you put the S with the X, oh, that's.
And then what did you get? You missing the third letter.
if you put,
It's for everybody.
It's for every.
But you get my point. You put those two products together with Black Friday, and I wouldn't be surprised if you see retailers, $200 for an S with Shadow of War bundled with it on Black Friday.
We just talked about this on Tick Podcast Line. Shout out to Cal, shout out to Anchorman. What do we think would be the best bundles for the X? And I think Cal made a point. I mean, I think I went with Assassin's Creed. I went with Shadow of War. And the third one, maybe they do a finagle Black Friday, pick what you want kind of deal, and hopefully by then the Destiny 2 information to come out or what they did.
As much as I hate to say this, Wolfenstein's the best one.
That's what Anchor
said.
That's just because Wolfenstein's going. If you bundle that with
native,
you can't. It's not even that. It has nothing to do with what it's running at. It's the fact that you're bundling a game that is coming out around the same time the X comes out. That hype going out. You can't bundle games after it comes out. You can't. Even if Destiny 2 came out in September, people acting like Destiny 2 is going to help Sony win November NPDs. Like what? Like by then, no one it's like obviously no one's not going to care about Destiny 2. We're still going to play it, but for the most part, a lot of the casuals are going to leave Destiny 2 by then. They're going to be playing other games, and it's just going to be the hardcore base. Like you can't maybe Assassin's Creed is a little bit better because it's closer to the launch, but for the most part,
you're right.
It's got to be Wolfenstein because it's coming out around the same time.
Assassin's Creed also can sell on its own. Like Wolfenstein, as great as Wolfenstein 1 and the New Blood, the Old Blood were, they still aren't. They don't appeal to the masses like an Assassin's Creed does. Assassin's Creed will do fine on its own. You bundle that Wolfenstein, so a lot more people can see how great those games are.
It's not even about the condition of the game. It's about.
Good. I'm curious about this.
I think a Madden bundle would be the safest bet. I think a Wolfenstein bundle, and the last bundle put 3 months of games
Game Pass
of Game Pass.
Yes. Kill it with Game Pass.
And for the most part, I think they do on Call of Duty and Star Wars that week. They need to have a bundle where you pick your own game from the Xbox Live digital market to combat the Sony marketing deals. But I mean, besides that, Wolfenstein, I just don't see how well promoting something after it already came out. Because for the most part, let's be real here, most people are not waiting for an X to get a game that's already out. No one's waiting 2 or 3 weeks to. If they are about Assassin's Creed like that, they're not waiting.
I'm waiting.
If they're about Shadow of War like that, they ain't waiting.
I'm waiting.
No, but you know what? The masses, to Lord's Addict. Let me take my emotions out of it.
Yeah, you're not everybody.
You guys are the minority.
I'm not everybody. And he's right. There's going to be people that are not waiting.
There's a lot of things I do not wait for. It's things that I will not wait for. Those things I can wait for.
See, but I'm a huge
Shadow
of Mordor fan, and I'm a huge Assassin's Creed fan. I have played every Assassin's Creed, and I've beat every Assassin's Creed, but Unity.
Shout out to Lord Victor in the chat. He was like, "What if they do a Cuphead theme console?"
They're not doing a theme console for us.
My God! Don't you play with me?
And appeal to the kids.
That's not a kid game, but it appealed to me.
It's definitely not a kid game. I was going to write
kids. First off, for the most part, you're not going to see kids having an X.
Yeah. I would say Lucky's Tale. Lucky's Tale
Lucky's Tale would be
Lucky's Tale too. Yeah. But Cuphead, that's kind of intriguing though. It's kind of intriguing.
Cuphead comes out this month, doesn't it?
I posted on Twitter.
Yeah, it does.
Next the 29th. The 29th. Comes out the 29th. Like I posted on Twitter, I would have loved to get a hard copy of that game with a premium bundle with Cuphead and Mugman statues out of that in an artwork book, and I would have paid upwards to $250 for it. I think they should really go back and revisit that aspect of it, and get out at least 5,000 copies of it at least, or less than that probably, and ship that out and see if it'll sell. But I know it'll sell. I would purchase it, and I would love to have that. But I already pre-ordered my digital for the
Nah, I feel you. Yeah, man. So I mean, this is interesting. So I mean, this is gonna be. I think this is a fun time. I just in general.
When it comes down to it, could the Switch outsell Xbox in November? The Switch could outsell both of them in November. But when it comes down to it, can the Switch double its sales to accommodate for the X? That's what it comes down to. Can they double themselves in 1 month?
Now, this is one thing one question I have about the X.
Another thing, and one of the biggest things that's going to come down to it is, can they meet the demand for Black Friday?
Yeah,
you see big ass panels of Xbox Ones and PS4s.
You're right.
Can they accommodate to that kind of demand?
You're right. And one thing, like I said, the thing I think you guys got going is we know the hardcore Xbox guys are buying that, and that's still a huge. That's still a huge number.
A good amount of the people who bought the original Xbox One Day One edition, a lot of those are going to be repeat customers, because the people who bought Day One, or chances are they're going to buy Day One on the X.
But this is my question on that. We don't know what that number is. What's that number? Because as of now,
that's the question.
That was the Xbox One actually. It won the very first NPDs.
But it was $1 million.
Right. No, it was 1.6.
Yeah. Okay.
You got to see.
It won the very first NPD. The very first month it came out.
Now, everybody that purchased on launch day Xbox One, was that a Day One edition, or did they have regular ones? So all we're getting on launch day for the X is Day One editions, right? We're not getting any base Xbox One X. The regular one.
It was base. I thought base was still there. It's not going to be base.
Because a lot
of stores, the Scorpio, there'll be Scorpio editions and regular editions.
But that's the thing.
I thought that
all the pre-orders that have been.
It's been Scorpio edition.
Scorpio edition. They haven't even talked about the regular Xbox One X.
Because they're going live this month, at the end of this month.
Oh, correct. All right. Okay.
Okay. All right. So we beating this NPD thing down. I love my NPD, so we had to bring it to the table, have some fun with it. So we are going to move on. So I don't know if anyone's been aware. This is a group topic here that actually Microsoft just announced some new tech. And it's called Intelligent Delivery. And I thought it was pretty interesting, man. Especially, we've been talking about the X a lot. We've been talking about 4K assets and how big these games are. So I want to bring this to the round table. Anybody get a chance to check out the article, read the Digital Foundry stuff? Lord King, you sound like you on it, so I'm going to give it to you. What do you think?
I was all on top of this stuff. I've been talking about this stuff for years. The fact that a lot of these downloads, these 92 gigs, is because you're downloading all the languages in different, all the cutscenes in different languages, all the languages of the football announcers or the basketball announcers. You're downloading all this insignificant data that you don't actually need. It takes Microsoft to be innovative in this aspect,
especially if it's 4K textures too. That's a lot.
That's huge. But see, this is what happens when you build an ecosystem that comprises of old tech and new tech. Well, the old tech does the 1080p aspect, and they need those textures. There's no need to have 4K textures there because they can't use it. And the new tech does the 4K, and they need it, and they don't need the old tech. So you don't need to download those gigs. So Microsoft went in, and they developed a system that identifies what is necessary and what is unnecessary. And as far as text goes, as far as voices goes, you can say to your system that I only want the English versions of this, and it would bypass all that other stuff and just give you what you need. And that significantly lowers the gigs that are taking up the space on your system, because we're running out of space here. And Microsoft sees that as a problem.
Facts. This is huge. Lord Sav, you want to jump in on this?
Yeah, I think
this whole intelligent delivery.
I think it's fantastic. I mean, I honestly, like Lord King said, like, we're running out of space. I'm over here, on Amazon looking for 8 terabyte, external drives.
Yes.
Because, obviously with all these new games coming out and everything, you know, with the higher quality assets coming out on the X, you're going to need more space, and this space is going to run out very quickly. So yeah, I mean, big up to Microsoft for this. My only worry with it is that they implement it in a way that's very user friendly, so that it's not full of like a lot of technical jargon, and that the system handles it like the way it's presented is very easy, and you can say, look,
when you put when you manage a game, it needs to just straight out come and say, do you,
exactly.
there needs to be like 10 options there, which ones you want to keep, which ones you don't want to keep.
Exactly.
Campaign, multiplayer,
straightforward. Exactly. The languages like divided up in a way that's very easy for the end user to use, and I think it'd be fantastic. I mean, to be honest, man, a lot of people who hate on Xbox honestly don't really realize the additions to gaming that they've made over the years. They've innovated a lot of what we consider to be regular gaming in this day and age. You know, with the online infrastructures and stuff like that. Microsoft are the ones that dipped their toe first. They pioneered. They're the ones that threw their face.
They don't get enough credit.
Listen, that HDMI pass through in this Xbox is probably the single most important innovation in this system. It allows for intelligent use of your television and your other devices to go through your Xbox. That's huge.
And it functions with that. What's good about that is that it doesn't need the cable box anymore. As more and more people don't use cable, the fact that you have your antenna receiver and you can still do the DVR functions with over-the-air signals, that's huge. It just creates it creates an ecosystem for all of their products, and it allows you to use everything in a very smooth and functional way. And again, to me, my only caveat was this: make it easy to use, and it's going to be fantastic. And I'm sure PlayStation is going to benefit from it also.
Yeah,
at some point.
At some point,
absolutely. Lord Addict, what do you feel once this got announced? Intelligent delivery. How do you feel about it?
I mean, it's like you guys said. I really feel like this is definitely an aspect that no one really gives Microsoft credit for. You know, they want to keep going at them for, you know, everyone, including myself, is within at them for exclusive games. But when it comes to software, they're second to none. And they got the best software engineers in the world. So,
yeah,
I mean, you know, we could go at them all day for everything and everything else. But it's like, you know, I was playing Destiny 2, and, you know, I could not get people together. Everyone was doing something else. So I was trying to do a Nightfall with Anchorman, and this is before we sent Lord Cal an invite to the party. I was about to use LFG, and it's simple. You make a post on LFG, especially raids. You make a post about raids on LFG, you got an entire 6-man fire squad in about 15 minutes, if that.
Yeah, that's huge. That's huge. That's one thing we talked about.
I see people always like, well, PlayStation's got that too. PlayStation doesn't have it integrated into the UI.
Yes, that's huge.
That's the key. That's huge. You don't have to go outside.
No external devices. Microsoft wants you to play here.
The moment you click, you know, and it pops up when they notify you. It'll pop up saying this dude's interested in your post. You'll hold it. And the cool thing about Destiny is because, you know, Mike Ybarra, you know, Lord Ybarra, pretty much on the download told me and Lord Cognito it was made with the ideal of Destiny. Remember that?
Absolutely. Yeah, he told us. Yeah, absolutely. Shout out to Mike.
When you look at Destiny 2, how it works on Destiny 2, when someone's interested and you click the middle button, you bring up their profile and it says if you accept their interest or not, it actually tells you what light level, how long they've played, what kind of time they have in the game. And so you know that they built, you know, Destiny 2's LFG around the ideals of what we would want to look at before we let people in our group.
Yeah, this is great stuff. I mean, when I heard about this, and again, shout out to Tick Podcast last night. I was on there as a guest, and Cal made up some good points, and also basically in conjunction to what Lord King is saying, it's like Microsoft does not get enough credit for these things that they innovate. You know, some of Xbox Live and services and software and backward compatibility. It's so many things, and this is just another one to the list that I think is really cool. And for me personally, I just think it's something like, I just think of a game like Gears of War, right? I hate Gears of War multiplayer. I'm gonna keep it 100, y'all.
Yeah,
I've never been that roll around shotgun shooting game type multiplayer. It's just not my style. You know, shout out to the people who play it, who are hardcore with it. Gears of War for me is campaign and Horde mode. Those are that's my Gears, right?
Gears of War doesn't exist to me.
Well, I feel you. For me, Horde, that's big. So it's like to have that option before I pick up the game and be like, okay, boom, I don't even just uncheck multiplayer.
Yep.
This will not be downloaded. Take that 30 gigs or whatever it is away from me. Like,
I mean, and it's not even going necessarily on that. It's like once you play Halo 5, you play the story once. 88% of story oriented games at all, besides maybe Bethesda games, it's a one and done thing. There's no more than one time. On the majority of games, you only play one time. Let's be real here. You play it like Titanfall. Titanfall was an amazing game. Titanfall 2 had a phenomenal story. I only played that once. Delete. No more story for me.
Yeah, I mean, these are good points. I mean, think about it. Like you've got these games are huge. Like Halo is like almost 100 gigs. I re-downloaded it.
Yes, sir.
For the X, I'm doing I'm getting all my X games. I was prepping them because I want to see how the X is going to take it to the next level. And I'm looking at these games. I'm like, these things are ridiculously big. So this is a really cool feature. I like how they also talked about the download, speeds and stuff like that. Instead of requiring a game, they're saying that, multiple, instead of requiring a connection to the internet when a game is too big for one disk, multiple disks could be separated between essential data and optional chunks. And they also talked about potentially getting third parties, involved with this process as well. And I think this is really cool. But there's people like that's opposite of me that, hey, they're not even going to play a single player. All they want to do is play a multiplayer on a certain game, right? Yeah. They got the option, and the 4K assets. And the last point I wanted to make was that what I found surprising, I didn't know, because again, we got a lot of these armchair developers out here on social media acting like they know how games are made and stuff like that. I didn't even know that when you pick up a lot of these games, they have all these languages as part of it. You know what I mean? So now that they can add these tags in the software, Microsoft can add these tags in the software to say, okay, Lord King and these guys are in the US region. Intelligent delivery will automatically say, okay, they don't need the Polish language pack. We don't need to send.
And what a lot of people don't realize is the file size between 720p and 1080p is really, really significant.
Exactly.
Especially from 1440p to 4K, we're talking probably 200 or 300 gig games.
Exactly. And now you're bringing 4K into the picture with 4K assets and how big those things. They're talking about Forza 7 is over 100. You know what I mean? This is huge.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
This is huge tech. Shout out to the Microsoft and the platform guys. They're killing it out there. Barra, shout out to all those guys. My boy, Lord Stillwell. They're really doing a fantastic job. They don't get enough credit. And it's good to see Microsoft innovating once again. So I thought this was a really cool. And the last point I want to make is that shout out to them using Digital Foundry as their mouthpiece. I think that's the smartest thing they've done with the Xbox One X, because we all know Ledbetter comes up there.
When they did that too, because you could tell when you
PlayStation down. You're right. Shout out to you, because I don't know if these guys are looking at what you posted, but the bump up on the DVR base Xbox went up from 720 to 1080p, and that's huge.
That's huge.
Yeah, the tech that they're bringing before this X comes out, they're raising the tide. Everybody eats when the tech is out there and it can be shared through this ecosystem. And trust me, I know after this X is released, it's only going to get better.
Yeah, absolutely. This is great stuff, y'all. So shout out to Digital Foundry and the Xbox team for bringing this information to us. But we are going to move on. So, Lord Addict, you got some Leviathan talk you want to bring to the table. What's going on?
Well, I wanted to talk about the Leviathan Raid that just came out last Wednesday. For the most part, I wanted to go over the section. So if anyone in this podcast wants the raid to be completely blind, you might want to mute this part. But
no doubt.
So I think the only person here who's really done as much as I have is Lord King.
Yes, sir.
But for the most part, the raid is great. I like it. I like the mechanics behind the raid. I still think Taken King's better.
Yep.
But I just enjoyed the Taken King more. I thought the goal's cool, but I don't. Do you guys care if I tell you who the boss is?
Most no, but do you care, Lord Soft?
No, not at all.
Is a robot.
Okay.
Okay, well, it's not Gaul.
It's a
Anyway,
robot.
it's not
No,
Gaul.
it's
It's
not
not-
Gaul. It's supposed to
yeah.
be the Emperor, but it's not the Emperor. It's a robot.
Yeah, but see,
Callous.
it's callous. But what they're trying to show you is if you finish it, Callus has multiple giant calluses. Like, and this, what you think maybe that there's multiple Leviathans throughout the galaxy, and this guy is out here running amok all over the place. You know, do you get to the real Callus? We don't know. Maybe that's in the hard raid. We have absolutely no idea. This raid, and I'm glad I could talk about it right now.
Mhm.
I have to give Addict his props. Lord Addict, I stayed in his hip pocket. Okay, now I showed him one aspect on the bathers,
And I've adapted it.
yeah, and the bathers. If you do the system that I adapted, that we, because you know we learned it, and I adapted this system. If you do that system, it's easy. You can do it in one run. Lord Addict came and showed me his system for the dogs. And shout out to ILP. We innovate, baby. We put this out here. This dude runs this like he's Adrian Peterson in his prime. I was in his hip pocket. We did it. And I said, this guy is a mastermind. He is a complete genius.
Beast.
In the hardest part of the raid. This is the hardest part. Don't get it twisted. This part where you have to build up the pollen, and you have to hit multiple plants in a given amount of time. He's found out that don't sneak. He runs. Yes. He doesn't crouch down and hide. This guy is running past the dogs because he knows certain things. And I said, you know what? I was so fearful in doing what he did, and he took the initiative to say, F it, I'm going to try it, and it worked. And if you look at his Addict show, he posted it. We're up there because we ran it with him. Shout out to Sinister, Lord Sinister. Check out his video to see how he did it, and then go and look at everybody else's video online. I'm telling you this, nobody does it like him. Nobody.
Beast, he's a beast. I want to jump in. Yeah, man. I mean, we started it. You know, we got to initially on day one to the bathers. You know, got caught out there because the system that we had initially. You know, the thing about this raid that I will say off the jump. First of all, let's get back to the beginning. My opinion, out of all the Destiny, and I'm a Destiny hardcore, out of all the Destiny raids, this is the greatest introduction to a raid I have ever been a part of. It is absolutely glorious the way you enter the raid. From an aesthetic standpoint, it is stunning. It is very imperial. It is very regal. It is Emperor Callus welcoming you to his domain. So,
yep.
It is just a beautiful thing. And not to spoil too much, just the beginning, you're going to see it. They're so disrespectful that they don't even attack you. They be like, come on in. Come on in.
Yeah. Don't touch us.
And don't touch. Now, if you want to pop off, we got
it's
you.
Gonna get
you know what I'm saying?
We're going to get it to you.
We got so confident that you're not ready for what you think you're ready for. So we're gonna let you come in and have an audience. It's like you have to have an audience with the Emperor. And he has to prove that you're worthy. So it's almost like these trials. That's basically the gist of it, right? So, you know, we got to the betas part, and it's real cool. It's one of those raids, though. I will say, you know, shout out to Lord Luke Smith, Lord Mark Noseworthy. I'm gonna get you guys on ILP before I die. I swear to God, I would love to talk raid mechanics with you guys. And it is similar to the Taken King in the sense that it is very reliant on teamwork. And if put it this way, it's the raid that I call your job. Like if that Lord King, what do you feel?
Yeah, no. It's right. It's your job, and if you mess up, you're gonna get called out on it because it snitches on you.
It snitches.
Yeah, shout out to Chief. yeah, the loot drops do suck, but there's a reason why they suck, and I'm gonna tell after everybody else goes exactly why the loot drop sucks and why you gotta stick in it, and the reasons why Bungie did certain things in this raid. I just want everybody to flush out their ideas, and then I can, come and buy.
Give it back to you. But yeah, like I said, not to spoil too much. I mean, I feel it's a great raid. I do agree with. I know what Lord Addict's going. I'm not going to give it the title yet. I mean, listen, I'm not going to lie. I did sneak. I looked at Player Unknown. I looked at shout out to Lord Cactus. He had a great
yes,
on the show. Cactus is the man. You know what I'm saying?
Ebontis, what's up?
Abontis, I'm looking at these guys' streams, and it's just so cool on day one to see the hardcore guys try to figure these things out on the fly and see the world first, who gets it done. And that's one thing I think Destiny's doing.
I still don't care, man. Some of these people, they had to have some kind of prior knowledge to get some of this shit done. Like, I just, like, it blows my mind that someone beat the whole raid in the time it took me being on the dogs. Like,
yeah, they're a liar. They're a liar.
I don't care. I know Lord Demon's real strong. That that's just the aspect of their game. They hold sacred. They don't, give anyone. But coming from someone that's gotten, press release documents, like, when you review a game, they actually say on what you're reviewing, tips sometimes on what you're doing, and I just. It's like, I'm looking at Goliath's stream and, I wouldn't say like, the reactions to the mechanics are fake, but I'm saying that he is noticing stuff that it took me an hour and a half to notice way too quick.
True. I understand where you're going with that. And we also have to say this. We were at a disadvantage. A lot of these guys are getting the game 2 days early. So they're getting the light level 290, 300 by the time, you know what I'm saying? Like ahead of us. So that's another factor. You being stronger in a raid really helps. You know what I mean? Like it's a difference. Like even though they're saying
if it was something strictly this raid doesn't really have anything to do with ads, and except for the last part, you do got to kill a lot of ads in the boss. But for the most part, Lord John, a 265 was doing fine.
No, I get it, and it just goes back to my initial point. Again, it's early. We haven't, I just sneak peeked at a couple of people's streams and stuff like that. Shout out to Bungie for doing a tremendous job with marketing the whole world first and everyone's watch. I think that's great marketing. That when a raid comes out, that they do that. Just think for this raid now, again, it's early. We got to compare it to the Pantheon. We got to wait for the hard mode to come out. We got to wait for challenge mode. It's early
because they build the games revolved around the hard mode and downscale it to the
way I rank it right now. I can't give it over Taken King yet because the only negative I have against this is I wish there were more bosses. Like to me, this raid screams for bosses. Like almost, I was thinking like of what's that, Lord King? What's that old school karate flick you used to watch? Bruce Lee starts at the bottom of the dojo.
Oh, you're talking about the Game of Death.
Game of Death.
Yeah.
I wanted more Game of Death. Like, don't get me wrong. This
thought that it was set up in a way that you could do the Wu-Tang 36 chambers. That's what I thought. I thought it was gonna be like what was the bald-headed monk that was in the 36 chambers? I thought every room was gonna be a boss fight. Maybe it when you get. That's why I want to go last. I'm
finishing up. That's pretty much all I got to say on it. Great raid. I suggest you guys do it. Who gets to the proper light level. I would say get in there minimum 280 just to be on the safe side.
Yes,
sir. So you can take some more damage. Run with ILP, run with the various squads, Channel 5, all these guys, Babby GG, all these guys that's running it, it's great.
Add me on Xbox.
You know what I'm saying? That's running this thing, and it's real fun. But I'm going to let you guys go ahead and talk about it.
When it goes to the whole, boss thing mentality, I am disappointed there weren't more bosses. The thing that annoys me is the raid is huge. It's like, it's, Lord Cognito, Lord Sovereign, especially Lord Sovereign, he hasn't even been in it. But Lord Cognito, I've showed you a little bit about, the aqueducts, the sewer system. It's bigger than that. It's bigger than you think.
Yep.
And, I was going around the map yesterday, and I was like, I ain't even seen this room.
Yep.
And I felt like they should have had moments like in Final Fantasy to where you walk into a certain room in the basement, and there's a raid boss that's just hidden, secret.
That's evil. That's completely evil. What you just said is evil. Okay.
And, not force people. Tell people. A great challenge awaits beyond? Are you sure you want to enter the room? So, I felt like stuff like that would have been better,
That's that Dark Souls thing. That Dark Souls thing where something's coming and it'll sort of warn
you.
For
the most part, the mechanics are on point. I just felt like, maybe after you kill the dogs, a big dog shows up. And, like, I felt like it was more about what 2 or 3 people are doing and not what everyone's doing in this raid. The only time that it was really about, like, splitting up was, the dogs wasn't even really about splitting up. For the most part, everyone was on the same page. Yeah. But the last part is about splitting up. Like, they don't just split you up, Lord Cognito. They take you to a different dimension, split you up.
Yeah.
Don't trust me. I've sneaked a peek at these streams. Good.
And all it takes is one mess up. I have learned, the dude that is trying to suck you into his mouth. I have found out that if you're the Sentinel and you pop your super, you can use your right bumper and go back over.
Yeah.
Interesting. So, Lord King, you went to, you want to wait for Solve to get in? Or Solve's good?
Yeah, Solve didn't do the raid.
I mean, I didn't do the raid. I'll let Lord King go, then I'll talk about like noob stuff and my questions about like raids in general.
Okay, cool.
All right, so check this out, guys. I'm gonna give you a quick synopsis of the raid and the reason why some people may feel the loot sucks. Now, Bungie has taken all the aspects of all the raids that they've done and all the data that they've done before. You ever had the problem when you go to LFG and you get a guy and he jumps in and he steals a checkpoint and he jumps out? That's not going to happen anymore. All right. The reason why they eliminated that is if you take your raid team to space and you come back down, you no longer spawn back in that same room. Checkpoint is gone, but not really. The checkpoint is open once you open up the aqueduct. Now, the aqueduct is accessible to you from the beginning of the raid. You have to go downstairs. You have to put in the sequence 1, 5, 3, 4, 2, 6. And the doors will open upstairs. You go into the aqueducts. Now, if you finish any raid boss or any raid room prior to going into the aqueducts, when you go into the aqueducts, that raid room is accessible to you. So you just have to know the path to get back to that room. Now, as you beat each room, you will get keys. These keys go to chests that are located in the aqueduct. It gives you incentive to go into the aqueduct and to go around and find these chests. These aqueducts is in this Leviathan that is miles long, actual miles. All right, so you're running around these aqueducts, going to different rooms and going to different chambers to get to different parts of the raid. Now, I know how to get to the dogs. I know the pleasure gardens. I know how to get to the gauntlet, and I know how to get to the boss. Lord Addict showed us how to get to certain keys, like the ventilation key, the drainage key, the other keys that are involved. These give you loot drops, all right? But this is not the raid loot drops. You can get lucky and get a gun. You can get lucky and get a hat or a helmet. But what you get is you get these medallions. Now, a new vendor will open up at the tower once you completed the raid. That vendor, you can take those medallions that you got from the raid and go purchase raid gear.
Gotcha.
Okay, so there's no longer you just running to get a chest in the raid and you out. No. Bungie wants you to finish this raid. You're not going to get any credit for it because if you look at the clan notes, you notice if your box is checked if you finished the raid. If you didn't finish the raid, you're not going to get the perks. So it's no longer jumping in, stealing stuff. Oh, I just want to do this one boss to see if I can get this.
You don't want them to come in and hire out a boss and leave?
It's no more free stuff. It's free is over. And you must finish the raid at 100%. Like, let's say somebody calls you in and you didn't do the first part of the raid and you just beat the boss. You didn't finish the raid. Get your butt back to the beginning and do what you missed.
Lord Chief Tommy's tight. He going in with this. He's like 6 hour plus raid. That's pretty crazy to me. Who got time for that?
Well, if you don't got time for the raid, and it's not 6 hours, have a good team, and a good team can do the raid in under 3 hours. It's literally that easy. Addict and I did the first part. It took us 20 minutes, right? 20, 25 minutes, the first part, Addict?
Yeah, and it took us like an hour and a half for the second part.
Exactly. So we get to an hour and a half inside the room because people was messing up in the beginning. And it's not Lord Addict's fault. He had a different method. He learned the new method, and then it was one guy that we had there that had to learn how to do a raid. It was his first time in a raid, and we were telling him to stand on the platform. He was standing someplace totally different. So we wasted at least an hour or half an hour there doing that. Once we got it down pat, we beat it in one try. We got to the dogs, and Lord Addict had to train us. If we was already a raid team complete going in, it would have just took us 25 minutes or half an hour. To get past that part. Then we have to go to the gauntlets. Every part is all about timing and knowing your place.
Easy.
You see? So once you know your place, and trust me, this raid will snitch on you. It will say you messed up. So you can point the finger at that guy and end your friendship with him because he's the guy that's keeping you there. All right? This is the most thought out, aesthetically pleasing raid I have been a part of. It looks beautiful, phenomenal. And the mechanics behind it has a purpose. No more free stuff. If you're looking for free stuff, this is not it. Go play the Taken King. Go play Atheon. go do all that other stuff over there. And be careful. They're gonna build all the other raids with this aspect in place.
No doubt, no doubt. Lord Sov, what are your new questions before we move on from this topic?
So, as somebody who's never done a raid, period, in either Destiny, my question is, like, what is it about the raid, that makes it so special, and specifically, why does it require such coordination? Because from my understanding, everything that I hear about the raid is that apart from the gunplay, it adds a lot of different mechanics in terms of like stealth mechanics, platforming mechanics, puzzle solving mechanics. So my question is, how is this stuff incorporated? Like, are the puzzle solving things going on while you're fighting? Or is it something like you clean out a room and then you solve a puzzle to move to the next thing?
No, the puzzle is how you fight.
It's wild and frantic. Okay.
There's some sections like that. It's each raid. Let you finish your question and then I'll answer my thing.
No, so that was it. Like, basically, what is it about the raid that makes it so fantastic, and how is it like? How is there kind of a formula that they use for the raids in general that you could tell somebody who hasn't been in there, like, look, raids encompass this sort of thing. You know?
I mean, they recycle certain mechanics of a raid, but for the most part, they might recycle a certain mechanic. But the room is different. You're doing something different with that mechanic and not necessarily what they recycle.
Also, what makes it unique too is that it is completely blind. You may enter a room or an area and the game does not really give you any hints as to what the hell you're supposed to do. And you have to really problem solve, look at structures, look at things, sometimes the only time they'll give you clues is when you die, and you'll see some statements like how many this killed or how many levers pushed, or you know what I'm saying? Like, so you're like, okay, maybe this is something towards this.
And they put that stuff in the death screen to rat people out.
Yeah.
Right. So, yeah. Then there's basically that each segment sometimes have so many different type of mechanics where they may split the group up and say, okay, one guy has a tremendous responsibility to do X, Y, and Z with said object, right? Or, the other 4 may do this, or they may split you up into 3 teams of 2 that have to do specific activities. Then there's some parts where let's just fight and get it on. Right? Like, it's just some things where, okay, let's team up, form Voltron, let's all stand on this square, let's protect each other, and let's do X, Y, and Z. So it's this perfect combination. The way best I can say is a perfect combination of gameplay mechanics, fighting. For the first time in this one, what we talked about, there's stealth. And that's what we give him all his props, because that's never been in a Destiny raid before.
Okay.
That the Pleasure Gardens is something I've never experienced mechanically from a raid. In a game, it's extremely unique. I didn't understand what the hell was going on, and a lot of YouTubers, when they've now beaten it, have still said, yes, Callus was hard, the final boss, but nothing is harder in the entire raid than the Pleasure Gardens. That's the consensus I've been hearing from the top YouTube guys. So that's just my assessment on it.
Well, I know what you're thinking, Chef. Like 3 hours seems like a long time, but in Destiny hours, 3 hours ain't shit.
Yeah, you can say that.
Yeah.
So let's move on real quick. We got a couple now. Real quick before we move. Okay.
One more thing in terms of questions. So in terms of in terms of the different mechanics now, how does your class, and especially subclasses now, how does that affect how you function in the raid?
It's huge.
Drastic. Because there's some sections where certain classes just excel. Like if you have a hunter at some part with a tether, and you can do this. If you have the warlock, and he's healing people in a physical space while you guys are taking a tremendous damage. Each class brings something unique, and there are some instances in Destiny raids where if you have a lot of the same class, let's say you had the golden gun hunter and you need a high DPS, you know what I'm saying? Well, you can ease through certain parts if you spec out right. You know what I mean? If you've got the right team, like I've learned this through Lord King, you know what I'm saying? Or another thing is the right weapon, like back to the Gallonhorn days, or you know what I'm saying? Like hold on, let's get to 18. Who got sleeper stimulant?
Yep.
Let's all sleeper stimulant this guy with weapons of light, and we're gonna do double the damage multiplier because we all got this. Like there's certain flows and weapon mechanics that also add to it that you eventually find out over time that can make things much easier for you.
Okay. Yep. Like the Rat King pistol thing that I was about.
like shout out to Lord Neil. He's like that's a gun that if one additional person has it equipped, it doubles the power of the gun.
If
right?
everybody has it on, it's crazy.
It stacks up to 6.
Yeah.
So think about that in a raid and how that could be useful for certain parts. I was even speaking with Lord Neil last time. I said, you know what? We messed up when we got to the bathers because there's a part where they want the team to come together and you got to shoot them chandeliers. I'm like, Lord, we're warlocks. Why we didn't just put our empowering light on to give everybody high DPS, and then you put your healing rift on, and everyone's getting healed and doing extra damage while we all combine.
Especially if you have those arc shooters, it will literally kill all the ads for you.
Yes.
You don't even have to touch them.
I'm learning so many stuff. People are telling me for the Callus fight. Shout out to Lord Holtzman. We're gonna get him on the show from the old Planet Destiny guy, Destiny Community Podcast guys. He's like, yo, Cold Heart on Callus is lit. Consistent DPS. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm learning so many flows. You know what I'm saying? And that's what happens with a raid. Over time, people start figuring easier ways to do it. And then, like Lord King said, different methods. Like you guys say, I noticed, you Channel 5 guys do it this way. We do it this way. And then we were like, oh, word?
Yep.
The very first way you do a raid, Lord Sovereign, like 6 months later before the next raid comes out, that way that you did it day one is completely gone. No one does it that way anymore.
It becomes obsolete. Yeah, that's how raids are. And it's just one again.
People get to the point where it's not about doing the raid anymore. It's about doing it as fast as possible.
Yes, and efficiently. And I've tweeted it before, and I know people know I'm a Destiny fanboy. I ride hard for it. I wave that flag. But in my opinion, Destiny 2 raids are the best. Destiny raids are just the best cooperative experience in gaming because not only have you been challenged, you form a bond with whoever you was in that group when you did that raid. I don't care what you say. Like,
listen, I told you,
and it can't be. It definitely could be a bad bond. Trust me.
I told you this guy. I didn't speak to him in over a year, and we played the King's Fall raid, and I didn't remember him. He was like, "Yeah, we played the King's Fall raid, beginning to end. It was such a great experience. I needed your help." I said, "Wow." It was just a wow moment.
And it's times where let's shout Lord Act knows what I'm about to say. Like you may have a rocky group with you. And it's just people ain't get love. Some people don't like the way they talk. People talk because after a while, mistakes are going to be made and blame is going to be shit. And
chances are I'm going to be the one blaming people.
Yeah, and it could affect friendships, especially because there's people who think they know it all, who want to do things a different way. You know, and it causes there's all these little funny things that happen during the course of the rhythm of a raid. And I will say this, like, shout out to the raid, shout out to Demon, Reeves, Neil, you know, Addict, those guys. Like, we started off rocking. We had issues.
It wasn't even an hour in. Me and they were going at it.
Literally, I was going at it. I could already see they had their theories. Okay, we need to do it like this. No, you doing it wrong. We need to do it like this. And like after time, like sometimes it can split a friendship apart. It can split a team apart. But
and
sometimes they can come back.
You know, we get these ideals and like, okay, let's try it. He's like, well, let me look online. I'm like, no, let's not look online. Let's try what we're doing first before you need to look up a cheat sheet, Neil. No, I just want to see the whole thing. And then I'm like, I don't get what you mean, Neil, because when you're looking at it a raid from someone else doing it at the moment on YouTube, you're seeing it from one perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, are we going to sit here for 40 minutes watching someone do a raid, Neil? Because I don't want to.
I'm with you on that. I don't want a person looking up YouTube to figure something out while we're sitting in the raid, because that's going to take 20 to 30 minutes of our time where we can be actually formulating our own plan. I mean, listen, man, if I can't stress it enough,
is the way that I said to do it is the way we do it now. And he would literally not listen to me.
But shout out to Lord Neil. Y'all got it together during the dog segment. When you taught him how to do the thing at the top, he was getting better. Remember shooting the light with the rock on the dog.
If he put him up there, he has no confidence in him. No, it's the Addict. Is that the truth or not?
I definitely do put people. The people gonna come down. Well, we gonna talk about that here in a second, Shep. Believe that. But you know, for the most part, if I put people down there, it's the people I rely on the most, and I put the people. I want one reliable person up there, and let me tell you, it wasn't Nil.
Shout out to Whiskey. Though.
Actually, I did throw Nil and Whiskey up there, not knowing what the hell was gonna happen. I'm not gonna even lie. I didn't know how that was gonna work out.
Shout out to Whiskey.
And what's funny is we were doing a raid in CD. There's someone in there named CD.
God.
CD was literally the most useless person in the whole raid. And
shout out to CD Wonder.
We're sitting there. Oh, he knows it. I told him multiple times, you're used to sit right here. Down there. So
he didn't know what he was doing up there.
So I'm sitting here, you know, King Dave is explaining what's going on, and I'm just like, look, I don't care what you guys do. I want Sinister, Potter and King down there with me. You guys complain about who's sitting up here. That is not my business. So we're sitting there, and then, you know, CD's like, okay, I'll sit up here. And I'm like, okay, what do you do? Dude's like, I was like, did you listen to anything King did? No. I'm like, okay, you're holding the rock over there against the corner. Sit down until we tell you to come out.
And that's the thing, Soft. That's the key also, Soft. People have to admit in a raid when they don't know what they're doing, and they don't like to do that. Like, you have to say, yo, I don't understand this. You're going to have to break this down. There's people in there who just be freestyling and wasting time.
You catch them.
Yeah, so that's pretty
so,
much it.
So is the strike a small version of a raid, or strike?
No, it's not even comparable.
It's not even close. Can't even compare it.
So strike is just action. It's straight up action.
That's nothing.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, there's no kind of raid mechanics in any strike that we have.
No mechanics. It's just kill. But before I know we've exhausted this,
I do want to talk about something briefly, real quick.
Okay, go for it.
Angry Joe gave this game a 6 out of 10, and for the most part, you know, and I agree with everything he said. I do agree with like 80% of everything that man said. I feel like, you know, giving it, saying the game improved, but then at the same time saying that I'm going to give it the same score as the first one because they didn't initiate to try to, you know, brand out, make the game any better. You know, it's like they literally just did stuff that should have been in the first one, so I'm going to give it the same score. I don't really agree with that concept. But do you guys think that you should shit on the raid because you can't do it? That's what I want to ask you guys. Do you guys think?
I feel you should never, just because content is too hard for you personally, I don't feel, or a person personally, that I don't feel that. I mean, look at the Dark Souls games, right? Those kind of the hardest content, you know, stuff like that. And these are still considered, you know, very, you know, high quality games. You know, difficulty is one of the things that's kind of tough to score, but at the same time, it's like, if you personally can't do something, I don't know how that affects.
And what's funny is if
score.
you see the little clips that he puts in his video, they're raging. They're like, I spent 6 hours and I didn't get shit from this, and I'm done with this. I'm not going back.
Well, that's
to
loot
the
drops
raid."
though, but that's different. Loot drops is different.
Well, no,
Loot drop-
it's because the frustration they were. I didn't. Did you watch it, Lord Cognito?
Yeah,
I did not watch.
There was
their-
not one
his-
clip past the dogs. Them people got stuck on the dogs. There was
Listen,
not one clip past the
Addict,
dogs.
Lord Addict, just like I told you, you have to complete the raid to get the raid loot. You might get lucky and get something in one of those chests.
There is, you can get actual equipment from the chest, but it has a lower. There's probably a 30% chance of getting stuff from the chest now. For the most part, they made it more casual friendly in a way where, if you can't get through the whole raid, don't worry, we got you. It's just you got to do it one time. That's all you got to do. You got to do it one time.
One time. I will say this though, to Lord Chief Tommy's defense, I kind of missed the Rat to the Machine. Rat to the Machine hooked us up, man. Like every segment of that raid, when you jumped around, you got something.
It's over.
You know what I'm saying? And then what I was hoping though? I was hoping, you know how what Rat to the Machine did that I thought was really good? I was hoping for this one. Remember when they had those Seaver things and you transfer 10 of them into one key or something? Remember?
Yeah.
What was them things? And that kind of gave you a reward or something?
Yeah.
I do agree with, going from the formula of making people addicted to it like lottery tickets. Like that was definitely not a good move. But at the end of the day, I felt like they're trying to keep the raids more relevant as long as possible.
Right.
So, like they're very one of those people where it's like, look, like we're going to hook you up. Like, don't worry about you. You're going to get plenty of loot. We just ask you beat the whole raid one time.
Yeah, beat it, please.
Because when you beat the whole raid one time, you open up the extra vendor that's in the tower and you feed him those tokens and he just hands you raid shit.
Yeah, he gives you the stuff.
Gotcha. All right, fair enough. I think we've beaten raid to death. We got to move on.
No, if you're saying that Angry Joe made it to the end, no, you didn't. He said it specifically in the review. I don't even feel like I want to finish the raid. So
so he didn't.
He was definitely trash at this game. I know, and I respect Angry Joe. It's like I said, every other point that he made in that review, for the most part, was fair criticism. But
shout out to Lord Ahmed Sin. I agree with what he said. He says, well, he didn't like the first one either. There's some people that at the end of the day, they're just not gonna like that.
It's not for you.
I mean,
it's not
this
for you.
is the same. Cool. This is the same man that didn't like Evolve because it was hard.
Listen, at the end of the day, it's all good. Shout out to Lord, you know what I'm saying? What you call it? Ahmed Sin for that comment. That was really cool. But let's move on. Lord King keeping the Destiny steam going, I'm assuming. But you want to talk about numbers?
All right. So Destiny 2 sales numbers. Are they considering it a flop? Because the numbers have come back and it's not the same as the first Destiny. And I attributed this to the fact that the install base of the PlayStation 3 and the 360 was huge. So when Destiny released to all 4 formats. And this time it only released on 2 formats with an install base that is not as high as the combined 4 formats that it released to at the first time. Now you got PC coming next month, so those numbers aren't in there yet. But these numbers that are indicated are lower than expected. What was it, 100,000, something like that?
Yeah, it was. They talked about right now that it was less than the I was like 175,000 physical copies, at least in the UK during the launch week, compared to Destiny 1's total of 417,000 physical copies. So it was lower first week physical.
If you want my honest opinion, hold up. I'm sorry, Chief. His YouTube partner beat it. Their stream was in the review. I don't care what some other man did it. If you can't review someone else's experience, we're not going to that anymore. But so, I feel like for the most part, when it comes to this whole, it was lower than expectations. I think the biggest question is, how much more are we underestimating digital sales?
Exactly. That was my point. Exactly.
That's my whole point.
Yeah. The reason why I have to point to the digital sales is because they are saying that at a given time, there are 1 million players playing
Concurrent on.
at one time concurrently.
It's the most played game on Xbox right now.
Exactly. So if you take
And
that in
2K
fact,
just came out.
Yeah. But if you take that in a fact that, all right, on PlayStation, because they're doing combined, all right? They're doing good combined. So you say the PlayStation probably, let's split it. PlayStation has 500,000, Xbox has 500,000, million players playing at one time. So those digital sales has to be incredibly high, right? So when the PC numbers come out, so is this considered a flop because the physical sales aren't reflective?
Yeah, let me get in on this. I think this is the thing where it's like, unfortunately, I don't know if it's NPD who's counting these numbers, so I don't want to throw anybody in the bus. I don't know. This is one point where us not having digital sales being tracked is really antiquated now. And it's getting to the point where, as much as this gen started off and everyone was being resistant towards digital, it is huge now. It is huge now, and it needs to be tracked so we can actually get a better idea of how these games are really doing. Now I believe NPD now is starting to include themselves. Correct me if I'm wrong. Are they starting? Because I'm starting to see some improvements in that regard. Yeah, right. So now I know this report came out for the UK. I don't know. I believe they use some company called ChartTrack, but ChartTrack doesn't do downloads. Like this UK,
you cannot truly do it until the companies come out openly with their numbers.
I get it. It's a fun little thing to say, for the people who don't like Destiny, I guess. I can't. In this day and age, not being able to track digital sales, I have to look at it. Like, okay, those are the physical numbers. Okay, great, but I can't look at it as a complete picture of the climate of the game, you know what I'm saying, or the temperature of the game. Like, I'm like, okay, this is just the physical. This gives me some ideas of some things, but that's just where I feel. Lord Soft, where you at with it?
Yeah, I mean, I think they've been tracking basically. They announced it initially in 2016, so they've been tracking for a while. And Activision is definitely one of the companies that supports it. So, like Lord Addict said, not everybody's supporting it just yet. So you're not going to get real numbers for every game, but it should. This is what's strange to me. If you look at those numbers, and it seems obvious that they're only physical sales because you have, like you said, so many concurrent people playing that it has to be more sales than that. So
exactly.
The fact that Activision is supporting it, but maybe they're holding their head on Destiny until they get a month out.
Yeah.
So they have, clearer, rounder numbers that they can show rather than, first week numbers.
I mean, let's be real here. The game came out 2 weeks ago. So the numbers aren't even back for them right now. Right. I'm sure they're still getting those numbers.
If those numbers were off the wall fantastic, we would have heard about it. I don't see them as being bad. I just see them as maybe waiting till they have better numbers. Again, a lot of people, regardless of how Destiny 1 was received towards the end and how it ended and how that game panned out, there was a lot of people that fell off that game and just off the strength of how the bad taste in their mouth off the first one, a lot of people were not going into Destiny 2 on a positive note or even purchasing it. So word of mouth, a month out after the game is out and people enjoying it and people seeing that things that people wanted addressed in the first one have been addressed, you're going to see more residual purchases of the game. So I just say hold your head a little bit. We'll see more concrete numbers in a while.
I've seen more people pick that game up after day one than I've seen people pick it up day one.
Makes sense.
It's one of those like wildfire things. It's one of those. But all my friends are playing it. I guess I have to actually buy it. I don't want to. They act like they don't want to. They act like they being forced to. That's the funny part.
Yeah, I know. It's funny. It's funny you said. That's a good point. I've been seeing my Twitter feed saying stuff like that too.
Well, you are basically forced into it because I have a lot of people that jump into my party, and if I'm talking to a whole bunch of people about Destiny, and you got a couple of guys that shout out to Green Mason that'll jump into my party, and we're all talking Destiny. He's like, "Hey, what up, King? What's going on? How's this other game?" We're like, "Yeah, we don't really care about that." So. If you're not talking Destiny talk, the door is that way, bro. And then you'll have somebody that's real disrespectful in the party yell out, "Lock the party." I mean, so if you hear that as your friends is playing this and you want to be inclusive, we all want to belong to something. So if you see your whole friends list playing Destiny, you look over and you're like, well, you know, I'm playing this Madden and nobody's playing with me. Yeah, exactly. Get it together, join the Destiny clan, and we'll run you through it. We'll definitely run you through it. Us
And when he
Destiny.
says we, he means him.
Yeah, no, he's lying to you because Lord Addict is definitely he's helped me run people through stuff. So don't sit here and listen to his stuff. He's not anti-social. He's very social. He's just anti-new friends. No new friends. He's about that part right there. All right. But listen, we want gamers to get their gaming skill up, and we want them to be part of our raids because there's nothing better than looking at your friends list and having confidence and clicking on somebody and saying, "Yo, I need help here."
Absolutely. So yeah, definitely, man. I mean, I think the Lord's knocked it out the park. Saab, you want to say something? Or you good? So I was gonna pass it off.
No, I'm good on that. I'm just to me as a noob who fell off the first one, I would say, look, it really has its hooks in me. So anybody who's kind of on the fence about it, give it a shot. If you like shooters, shooting mechanics, this and Call of Duty are the top of the line. So I would say play it. Definitely play it.
So shout out to the chat right now. They were in there a lot. We got a couple of questions they wanted to ask the Lords before we close out. You know, so we want to actually PS down. You know what I'm saying? He's one of them. He had a question in reference to the Xbox One X rumors about overheating. Now, I heard murmurs of this. I haven't heard anything factual. That was the first thing. And then the second thing I know, shout out to Victor in the chat. He's been lit. He wanted a question that he asked us about, you know, if we were in charge of Xbox, you know, like how would we basically run it like right now? Like what would be the things that we would kind of put in place? So those are the two questions. I'm going to let this go around the round table. Let's start with Lord Addict. What do you feel about this supposed rumor about Xbox One X overheating? I don't know if I haven't heard anything about it, but I don't know if the Lords have. And then the second thing, if we were in charge of Xbox, what will we do right now to get things popping?
Well, I mean, did you guys really expect it not to be overheating at launch?
Well, I guess because
it's
of the
small, like
thing that they were talking about.
I mean, you know,
this is rumor.
Are there some probably overheating? Damn straight, but it just depends what widespread is it. What's the amount of units that's doing it? I mean, how do people actually really know this? Who's saying this? Where are the rumors coming from? These are things I need to know before I make videos about.
Facts. We need some links on that. PS down. We definitely that PSN down. We need you on that. But what about to Victor, Lord Victor's question in reference to if you were in charge of Xbox right now for the fall, for the holidays, what would you do to get this situation going?
First thing I do is make it look like a black VCR. Oh wait, never mind. It's just like look, like you know, like there's people in the community. It's like, oh, it could look like whatever it wants to look like as long as you're lying. Like the aesthetics of a machine is just as important as what it does. And you know, maybe not for the American audience as much, but there are certain countries that would look like your shit looks like trash. I'm not buying it. And it's very widespread. You know, Lord King David's all about that premium experience. If it doesn't look premium, he ain't about buying it.
He's gonna tell you the truth, and that's the truth.
So what it comes down to, it's like the way a console looks is just as important as what it does. You know, I think the names is lower than what it looks like. You could have something that looks high technology and have a trash name, and it does better than something that you know is an average name that you know has a good, cool, catchy name that looks like trash and no one's going to pick it up, like the original Xbox One.
Okay, fair enough. So your main thing is the look and all that good stuff. Let's get it over to Lord Kings. What opposite? What about you? If you won, did you hear anything about these supposed rumors about Xbox?
Yeah, I heard about it. It's CNN, fake news.
Yeah. Oh, shots fired. And if you were in charge of Xbox, you know, what would you do right now? How'd you look? What would you do different?
All right. Let me really address the whole overheating stuff. All right. Whoever planted this story, this fake news story, and it's a plant, and it is done to build steam going into a launch to try to hurt a launch of a system. Listen, they're sold out, Papa. So nobody cares about anything overheating. You know what they're doing? They're looking over to the side and they say, "That's your box is overheating." Nobody cares about you over there. Send it back, get a new one. It'll happen. Stuff happens. You boot up stuff, it don't work. Have you ever turned your phone on and it went conky and you had to go back to T-Mobile to go get that fixed? Go get that fixed. Shut up. Nobody cares. All right. Next, as far as how would I run Microsoft? I could say I could take Peter Moore style. I love Peter Moore. I love when he came out and he showed that tattoo on his arm. I felt like, yeah, that's the boss right there. He's taking control. He's working with the wallet. And this is how it goes. I honestly believe Peter Moore had carte blanche. His checkbook was wide open. He was able to do anything that he wanted to do. I don't think Phil operates in that same space. I agree. You got to ask me, how is my bank book? If my bank book is Peter Moore's bank book, I'm a Peter Moore style it. I'm going to go in. I'm going to buy everything. I'm going to shut out the competition. I will put my foot on Sony's neck so hard that honestly, you'll be ashamed to own the system. My commercials will take it back to Sega does what Nintendo don't. I will go back to that day. I will break them down. I will fold them up, and I will get them up out of here. Now, if you're going to tell me my checkbook looks like Phil's checkbook, well, then I got to move in stealth mode. I got to move like how Phil moves. And Phil is strategically placing his ducks in different spots. And if you're watching how it comes together, it's a masterclass on how to move on a budget.
Phil's one of those people that he puts the whole puzzle together, but the puzzle that connects it all to make it look like a picture.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's a good point about the argument. I know we had this poll a while back, the whole Peter Moore thing, and that's a good point in Phil's defense. I mean, he's operating in a different financial space at Xbox is right now, and we have to give him that credit in the sense that it's not like the Steve Ballmer days when the checkbook was loose. Right, it was just all this going on, or even with the Red Wing, like Steve Ballmer backed the truck up and said, "Look, shout out to yeah, what do you need?" He was on IGN, shout out to Lord McCaffrey, and he talked about that story. He said it was a water shot moment. They called it a Tylenol moment because at that time, back then, Tylenol had a situation where like they were poisoning all these people. This is before like you had the safety lid over the aspirin. And this was a moment where if they didn't address this, they can go under. And they knew they were going to take a short-term L without having to spend. So, they said, look, how much do you need? We got to fix this issue. These systems are red ringing. And it's a different time, man, for Phil.
I think one of the main reasons is I think the overall brand was more hot. It was doing better at the time. So Microsoft was more willing to give that kind of initiative investment. And then, at the end of the day, I don't know what Phil Spencer does. I don't know that man like that. From my perspective, it shows he's doing a good job. But, it's like when they did that big interview with all those people. Phil Spencer.
Shout out to Lord Seamus. He definitely listened to the ILP.
Peter Moore said one of the biggest things that you need in this business is someone up in the higher, way above you, that is pulling your name and is going to help you push agendas. And maybe Phil don't have that. Maybe he doesn't have that person above to help him. It's like, with the game scenario, people will say, with developers, a lot of the times 3 or 4 people keep a game alive because they push for that game. If no one pushes for the game, chances are it's getting canceled.
Yeah. What do you feel?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of the cooling situation with the Xbox One X, at launch you're gonna have issues with anything. But again, like the vapor cooling that they included in the X, the centrifugal fan, that all, apart from it not having an issue mechanically, that all should ensure that system doesn't overheat on any sort of normal basis. So it's a whatever. It's probably a quirk of manufacturing or whatever. But I don't think, considering what they went through with the 316 Red Ring,
it's probably only units that have a defunctional cooling unit.
Yeah, that's probably what it is. Because to be honest, what they went through with the 360, how they over-engineered the Xbox One, the original Xbox One, they're not gonna risk having that be an issue. I don't really see that being a widespread issue at all. And in terms of how I would run Xbox, I have to agree with Lord King on that. I'm a Peter Moorhead, and I'm of the mind that you have to attack your competition in the way that they attack you. You can't take the high road. And I completely understand the situation with Phil, where the budget isn't the same. His mentality, his approach is not the same. So I wouldn't expect him to handle the situations in the same way. But I think Sony has not conceded anything to them, have not taken the boot off their neck. And I think Microsoft, and Microsoft has to attack in that form to show that they're in the fight. You taking the high road on something just makes you look kind of weak. So for me,
let me ask you this quick question. Let's talk to that point. What do you feel about people who say, well, maybe they've already writings on the wall, maybe Phil's looking long term as far as this generation? You know what I'm saying?
If that were the case, then what I would have done to kickstart the next generation is you sell the Xbox One X at $400. That's what you do. That's how you kickstart. You like, here we go. This is where it starts. Because again, it's you have to show that you're in the fight, that you're not taking a different path. And again, maybe in the long term, that path could be fantastic. Again, with all the services and stuff that they're offering in the long term, the ecosystem is going to be stronger for it. But in the head-to-head, when somebody's looking at, damn, who's winning this competition, Sony is constantly doing things to show up Xbox, and Xbox is not willing to do that in return. And it matters. It matters. So yeah, I would back up the truck, man. I mean, I would back up the truck, and I would have all those third-party deals in place. I don't hate on Sony for it. I mean, some of the stuff is messed up, you know, waiting a year for Destiny stuff and whatnot. But you know what? Hey, to the victor, you know, they
love and war, baby.
They have the mind share. They have the mind share, and they could finagle that sort of deal. Hey, better on them. So,
yeah, I'll finish this up with these are great questions. Shout out to the chat.
Can I make the poll this week?
Yes, please. I love help on the poll from anyone. Yes, I get it from board down. I did.
Heard Anchorman go. Anchorman is MIA playing Destiny. I see him right now.
Real quick before we do the poll and finish this thing off. This is a great question. Shout out to PSN Down. Shout out to Victor Alstein, those lords. Great question, great dialogue. Real quick, mine's is pretty much on the same page as the lords. As far as the cooling thing, you know, I haven't heard anything of that. And one would think with the vapor cooling system that's implemented in the Xbox One X that was purposely designed for that purpose. So let's wait and see until things become, you know, we get more definitive results on that. As far as running Xbox, I think Lord Sov, Lord King, you know, all you guys, you're not Lord, I knocked out of the park. The whole thing is, it's shout out PSN now. He said that Phil is Xbox is, I mean, Phil Feeding Moore is the guy that's like taking it personal, and Phil Spencer's the guy that say, let's hold hands. I'm done. That's so disrespectful. All right.
Phil Spencer's that kind of guy. It's like, we're all winning.
Yeah, he's a nice guy. And I hear the point, you know, sometimes you don't have to be disrespectful, but you can be aggressive. You can compete. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Lord Chief Tommy. Yes, you can do both at the same time. It's just sometimes
some people ain't built that way.
Yeah, sometimes perception comes off as reality. It may not be the truth. Maybe he may be doing these things behind the scenes. But, you know, that's one thing that has to happen. You know, the reestablishment of exclusives and first-party games that have come from Microsoft Studios needs to happen. And like Lord Saab said, I do agree. I felt the 400 was a missed opportunity to be extremely aggressive. However, I will give Phil this. I think he's strategic. I think he's thinking long term. I think he does have a plan in place. I do think people are really sleeping on 2018. I think 2018 is really going to be a positive year for them. I think a lot of things are going to line up for them software-wise, and I think they got some surprises that
they're trying to do 2018 like Sony did 2017.
Yes, that's the vibe I'm feeling. You know, I feel that they've kind of conceded 2017, and it's just going to live off the Scorpio name. But that's just
I will say that, you know, for the most part, Sony. I'm not taking nothing from Sony, but I think we can agree to a lot that, you know, Sony was, you know, selling off the hype for the most part for the beginning of the generation until this year. This year, they came out with guns and they said, this is why you buy our stuff. And I think Microsoft wants to turn that around next year.
So that's what we got. And like I said, great show, guys. It was popping. So I'm gonna actually give it to Lord Addict. He's got a poll question for me. What's going on?
First thing I want to say is, our whole perspective on how we run Microsoft or anything like that. To my knowledge, no one on this panel is has a major or any kind of doctorate or anything in marketing. So anyone that's so happens to watch this, I don't want anyone to feel like we stepping on people's toes. It's just perspective of something on generally no situation that I don't think either of us would ever have. Like, we don't answer to big billion-dollar corporations.
Facts.
I don't really know what it would take to ask someone for money. Like, I have never had a position where I can ask someone for a couple $100 million and go to giant meetings where I have to talk to these individuals about if that money did not succeed.
We can't Kanye the situation asshole for that title. What?
But
what is your poll question, sir?
But my poll question is, a lot of people, with the rise of JRPGs and the way things are going since 2016 and 2017, do you believe Microsoft is essential in order for them to, for the most part, I wouldn't say regain the throne, but, make the playing field equal? Do you think they need to be more aggressive towards Japanese-oriented games?
I like this. This is good. This is good. I know this is actually something Cal has talked about as well. Shout out to the Tick Podcast group. This is a good one. I will post this up. And like I said, the Lords, feel free. They're always throwing these poll questions. This is good stuff. Good food for thought. I love the engagement.
I didn't know I could throw in poll questions.
No, my fault. And that's Lord Cognitive fault. I'll take the L on this one.
No
I always
problem.
put that on myself, and I always keep forgetting. Why do I not ask the other Lords to throw this in the mix? Like, what's wrong with me?
I got you, baby.
No doubt. Apologies. Sometimes Lord Cognito does a little too much and needs to take some stuff off his plate. And plus, you guys have great ideas. So, love my lords. So, we're gonna end this thing up real soon. So, shout out to the chat. Absolutely lit. And let's get these outros popping. Lord Addict, where can the fine people find you, and what's going on with the other shows you're dealing with?
There ain't no other shows right now. There's just Destiny and Destiny only.
Yeah. Yeah. Shout out to Lord Kid Smooth. How you feel about that?
But me and Kid Smooth are about to do some reviews. We're going to review Gigantic and Destiny Thursday or Friday, one of those 2 days. I do want to say I'm going to start streaming a little bit more. I've been wanting to make videos, but then I see I need to do the raid, and I end up not making videos. But I will be
like you did the other day.
Next week. I'll be going back to normal schedule of for the most part, daily content.
And get more Lord King in your streams. Absolutely hilarious.
Like, I don't know, man. My last stream got flagged for inappropriate content. So
yeah. No, listen. I must say I am so sorry, man. When I'm playing. You're going to get a lot of
in his home habitat.
You're going to catch a lot of language that is not available on the Iron Lord podcast. Yeah, and you're going to catch a lot of content that is straight up X. All right? So, and my jokes is crazy. The jokes is crazy, but they're on the dirty side. Don't watch it with the kids.
No doubt. And Lord Saul, where can the fine people find that profile ever jumping on? Ever. I don't even see you on Switch, Lord Saul. Come on.
Oh, really?
Switch, bro. And we supposed to rap together. I don't even see you.
He found out how to go offline on Switch.
He's found a way. I'll be looking. I'll be like, when is he online?
I'll check on that. I'll check on those settings. I'll see.
Yo, listen, it's football time. Let's go, guys.
We coming.
So, Being Sovereign on PSN and Xbox Live, and Lord Sov ILP on Twitter.
No doubt. The Excess Gamer, Lord King.
Listen, I can't stress it hard enough, and I've been telling you guys, and not one of you guys that got a PlayStation. I know you in here, so you better freaking add me. All right, it's Xbox 360 Lover 01. Add me. I'm not
No
joking.
one is
I'm
adding
not,
that gamer tag.
listen, I'm
They
not
probably
trolling
think you're
you.
trolling.
I'm dead serious. I'm not trolling you. Just check. You're gonna see me is a monkey picture. All right. Now you can add me on Xbox as King David OTW. Just add me, and we can get through these raids and we can play these games. But listen, on that PlayStation, I'm dead serious.
No doubt, no doubt. Shot, like I said, it is look, I did it here. We spend that game in realness, telling you not what you want to hear, but what you need here. Thanks to the chat, everybody that came through. Much appreciated. We got some cool things lined up in the next 2 weeks. I can't spill the beans completely, but hopefully some cool guests and some cool things popping. Of course, the polls and all that stuff will have the results. Again, all our audio guys, please go to the Inner Circle. Look for the Inner Circle Network on iTunes, Google Play, YouTube. I know you guys are loyal to the ILP brand, and we love that you still stop by there to listen to the audio and stuff like that. But please follow the latest stuff. If you want the latest audio, the latest YouTube stuff that's live and direct, please follow the Inner Circle Network. Shout out to the Tick fam for always showing us love. And yeah, we're about to get out of here. So everybody get to their football. Have a good one. Have a good Sunday on the Lord's Day. And we're out of here. Peace.